Okay, good evening. It is Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, and welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board. This is a voting meeting followed by a work session, followed by a public hearing. I call this meeting to order, and I ask everyone please rise, face the flag for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just ask that we remain standing for a moment of silence to remember the men and women who are stationed around the world, protecting our freedoms and providing us with the blanket of freedom that we are fortunate to live under each and every night. Thank you.
Thank you. If our town clerk, Alice Daly, would please do a roll call attendance.
Councilman Kearns?
Present.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Here.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Here. So our first resolution is accepting a proposal for front door replacement at Sycamore Park. Councilman Kearns, could you read that, please?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of Town of Carmel Director of Recreation and Parks, Nina Kalmeyer, hereby accepts the proposal of Vinco Builders, Mahopac, New York, for installation of a new door at the main entrance of the Sycamore Park Recreation Building at a cost not to exceed $11,795.80, and in accordance with the proposal dated April 25, 2024, and be it further resolved that upon presentation of insurance certificates in a form acceptable to town attorney, the referenced work may commence, and be it further resolved that Town Comptroller Mary Ann Maxwell is hereby authorized to make any and all necessary budget revisions to effect the repairs authorized herein. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by both council people. Can we have a roll call?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Resolution 1 passed. Our second resolution is authorizing budget modifications. Councilman Lombardi, could you read that?
Sure. Whereas Town Controller Mary Ann Maxwell has reviewed the proposed modifications for the period ending May 31, 2024 with the Town Board, which are detailed and explained on the attached budget revision schedule 2024-02. Now therefore be it resolved, Town Board of Town of Carmel hereby authorizes and ratifies the final budget modifications revisions for the period ending May 31, 2024, as itemized on the schedule 2024-02, attached hereto, incorporated herein, made part hereof. I offer this resolution as well.
Second.
Seconded by Kearns. Can we have a roll call vote on that, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. The third resolution is amending the procurement policy. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby amends, effective immediately, its adopted procurement policy, said amendments being in the form as attached hereto and made a part hereof. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Number 3 passed. The fourth resolution is declaring certain equipment obsolete and authorizing disposal. Councilwoman McDonough, could you read that?
Yes, resolved that upon the recommendation of Town of Carmel Superintendent of Highways, Michael Stern, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby declares the following police department, or should that be highway? The
Yep.
following highway department equipment to be obsolete and authorizes its disposal in accordance with town law, including but not limited to Town Law Section 64-2-A. Truck number 9, it's a 1999 Workhorse step van, VIN number 5B4K P32R1X3311274, and trailer number 1, which is a 1995 Eager Beaver AP10, VIN number 112AAH 209 SL04444340. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
With the modification of highway instead of police?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes, number 4 passed. The fifth resolution is authorizing the signing of a change order number 6 townwide water tank and rehabilitation contract number C268. Councilman Kearns, could you read that?
Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioner of various Town of Carmel water districts, has previously awarded the contract for the above project to Arnold Construction, and whereas the Town Engineer, Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., has provided proposed change order number 6 to the aforesaid contract to the Town Board for consideration and review. Now therefore it be resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Town of Carmel water districts number 1, number 8, number 10, and number 13, hereby authorizes Michael Cazzari to sign change order number 6 to the aforementioned contract, resulting in an overall contract price increase of $138,502.65. Said change order to be in form as attached hereto and made a part of hereof, and be it further resolved that the cost of said change order be assessed proportionally among Carmel water districts number 1, number 8, number 10, and number 13. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Lombardi. Can roll call, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 6 is a resolution accepting proposal and authorizing the award of the bid for blacktop for the Town of Carmel Highway.
Resolved that the Town Board of Town of Carmel, upon the recommendation of Town of Carmel Highway Superintendent Michael Stern, hereby authorizes the award of bid for bituminous concrete, FOB, for the period May 1st, 2024 through April 30th, 2025, to Peckman Materials, Brewster, New York, Package Paving Company, Inc., Stormville, New York, and Thale Industries, Brewster, New York, under Putnam County bid RFB 10-24. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Can we get a roll call again, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 6 passed. The next resolution is entering into a contract for maintenance, Lake Cassie Park District R 2024-001. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of Lake Cassie Park District, has previously sought proposals for maintenance of the Lake Cassie Park District property and facilities. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of the Lake Cassie Park District, and upon the recommendation of Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., hereby authorizes the acceptance of the proposal of Mr. Terrence Kelly, Mahopac, New York, to perform said maintenance services for fiscal years 2025 through 2029 at an annual cost of $14,000, $14,500, and $15,000, $15,500, and $15,500 respectively, and be it further resolved that the Town Supervisor, Michael Cazzari, is hereby authorized to execute any extension or amendment as well as any necessary documentation required in connection herein. I offer this as read.
Second.
Seconded by Lombardi. Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 8 is a resolution authorizing the awarding of bids for purchase and supply of chemicals for Carmel Sewer Districts and Carmel Water Districts C295. Councilwoman McDonough, could you read that, please?
Sure. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Carmel has previously authorized advertisement for the solicitation of bids for the provision of chemicals to the various water and sewer districts within the Town of Carmel. And whereas such bids were received and opened, and Town Engineer Richard J. Franzetti, P.E., has recommended the awarding of the bids to Surpass Chemical Supply, Albany, New York, and Slack Chemical Supplies, Carthage, New York. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as Commissioners of all Carmel Sewer Districts and Carmel Water Districts, hereby awards the bids for the purchase and supply of chemicals in said districts to Surpass Chemical Supply, Albany, New York, and Slack Chemical Supply, Carthage, New York. The lowest responsible bidders meeting specifications at the prices set forth in the bid documents received and currently on file in the office of the Town Engineer. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Kearns. Can we get a roll call again, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 9 is a resolution acknowledging performance of emergency repairs, Carmel Water and Sewer Districts. Councilman Kearns, could you read that one?
Resolved, the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, acting as commissioners of the various water and sewer districts of the Town of Carmel, hereby acknowledges the emergency performance of water and/or sewer district collection system, distribution system, and/or treatment facilities repairs, all as fully detailed in the memoranda of Town Engineer Richard J. Frenzetti, P.E., to the Town Board dated June 6, 2024, as attached hereto and made a part of thereof. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Lombardi. Can we get a roll call again?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 9 passed. Next up is a resolution waiving the notice requirements in Section 64 of the New York State ABC law with respect to a liquor license for Trattoria Say LLC. Councilman Lombardi, could you read that?
Whereas the representatives and/or proprietors of Trattoria Say LLC, 597 Route 6, Mahopac, New York, have advised of the intention to apply for an on-premises liquor license for which 30 days advance notice of such application must be sent to the municipality. And whereas the notice requirement of Article 5 of the Alcohol Beverage Control Law may be waived by the Town Board. And whereas the Town of Carmel Town Board does not intend to comment upon the application referred herein, now before resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby waives the 30-day notice requirement contained in Article 5 of the Alcohol Beverage Control Law and states that it does not intend to offer any comment regarding said application for a liquor license at the premises referred to herein, and be further resolved that Town Clerk Alice Daly is hereby authorized to sign a waiver of said notice on behalf of the Town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 11 is amended resolution authorizing payment of wages to employee number 1502. Councilman McDonough, could you please read that?
Yes, whereas on or about November 8th, 2023, Town of Carmel employee number 1502 sustained an on-the-job injury to which the aforesaid employee is entitled to New York workers' compensation benefits. And whereas Michael Stern, Highway Superintendent of the Town of Carmel, has advised the Town Board that the aforesaid employee is presently unable to return to his work duties. And whereas the Highway Superintendent has recommended extension of the aforesaid employee's wages pursuant to the terms and conditions of the Town of Carmel Employee Handbook, as well as the terms and conditions of the contract between the aforesaid employee bargaining unit and the Town of Carmel. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the payment of wages to employee number 1502 for a period of an additional 3 months commencing May 11th, 2024, and terminating August 10th, 2024. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Lombardi. Can we get a roll call on that, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. The next resolution is authorizing acceptance of a proposal. Councilman Kearns, could you read that?
Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the acceptance of a proposal of a 2-month trial for AI implementation and support from Stella AI, New York, at no cost to the Town of Carmel. Said proposal to be in form as attached hereto and made a part hereof. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Yes, well, it says the proposal 2 months, so I'm fine. Yeah,
Okay.
second.
Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 13 is a resolution ratifying the memorandum of agreement, Town of Carmel Lieutenants Benevolent Association, extension of collective bargaining agreement. Councilman Lombardi, could you read that?
Sure. Resolve the Town Board of Town of Carmel as Commissioners of the Town of Carmel Police Department hereby ratifies the memorandum of agreement between the Town of Carmel Lieutenants Association and the Town of Carmel in regards to an extension of the collective bargaining agreement which expired December 31, 2023, in form as attached hereto and made part hereof, and is further resolved the Town Supervisor Michael Cazzari is hereby authorized to sign said memorandum of agreement on behalf of the Town of Carmel. I offer this resolution as read.
Second.
Seconded by Kearns. Can we have a roll call on that, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes. Number 14 is a resolution authorizing entry into amendment of licensing agreement for New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. Resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel hereby authorizes the entry into an amended license issuing agent agreement with New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for the issuance of sporting licenses, said amended to be in the form as attached hereto and made a part thereof, and be it further resolved that Town Clerk Alice Daly is hereby authorized and executed to execute said agreement on behalf of the Town of Carmel. I offer this as read.
Second.
Seconded by McDonough and Kearns. Can we get a roll call again, please?
Councilman Kearns?
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Aye.
Supervisor Cazzari?
Yes.
Yeah, so before we move on to our motion to adjourn, I would just like to make a motion to authorize the scheduling of a public hearing at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, on Wednesday, July 17th, 2024, at 7 o'clock p.m., or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, pursuant to New York Town Law, Section 272-A and 272-A6, on the draft amended comprehensive plan being proposed in and for the Town of Carmel.
Second.
So can we have a roll call?
Councilman Kearns?
Originally, this was on the agenda for tonight, and the board, we all went back and forth, and I was not in favor of voting to hold the public hearing in July. My theory is that it's taken us 5 years to get to this point, and quite frankly, if the master plan was adopted, none of you guys would even be in this audience tonight.
Well, that's not accurate.
Hold on, let me finish. So with that being said, it's taken us 5 years to get to this point. What's the urgency now? July is a month where a lot of people are traveling. I think that we should meet together one more time with the consultant, with the town planner, with Mike Carnazza, iron everything out, make sure everything's in that master plan, then hold 2 meetings back to back in September, promote it so we can get maximum community participation.
Okay.
So that's my theory. That's my theory. So, no.
And if I,
Please,
That's right.
please, quiet.
and if
Please,
I,
quiet.
and what I said in the thing, and I agree this has been going on too long, and we have had multiple meetings over the last 4 or 5 years with the planners, with the accountants. Everyone here on this board has been invited to those meetings, okay? It is for the comprehensive plan. The draft has been out for a week and a half, I believe now. I asked for the comments from the planning board and everything. We have been meeting with Craig Paper, Mike Carnazza, our consultant, myself, and another board member if they chose to come, because we couldn't do it all together. I, for one, would like to move this ahead. Again, this is for the comprehensive plan, not the zoning. The zoning will have to be another public hearing. The comprehensive plan also needs 2 public hearings. So I want to get the ball rolling, because it has taken so long, and have the first public hearing on the 17th of July, and the second one whenever we can. But that's what I have written back, and I appreciate Councilman Lombardi.
Please, no comments from the audience. It's not time for public comment. Please stop. It's not time for you to be yelling from the audience. Please don't do that.
It's up for a vote, that's why.
Continue.
Councilman Kearns?
No.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman Lombardi?
Yes.
Supervisor Cazzari?
I'll say yes.
Yes.
So, can I get a motion to adjourn the voting meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I get a motion to open up the... Can I get a motion to open up the work session?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor opening the work session?
Aye.
Aye. Please. We're opening up the work session, okay? So I asked the board to review June 5th and June 12th meeting agenda minutes that Alice Daly has provided for you. Alice, thank you very much.
I'm staying.
You're staying?
She's got to stay for the public hearing.
Oh, for the public hearing, yes. So our first item is our town engineer, Richard J. Franzetti. Consider request to replace the fuel line. Rich?
Good evening, Board.
How about now? Okay.
So this is in regard, is this even on? Yes, it is. The existing gas dispensing system, as provided by Wayne IX Fleet, requires a software upgrade from our existing Windows 8 OS Fleet controller to Windows 10 IX Fleet controller, for order to better communicate with the dispenser. This software management system collects the necessary information used to bill the appropriate departments for gasoline use. The current system, while functioning, has had numerous operational issues. Due to the age of the software, Wayne has indicated they are unable to provide an update to our system and their system due to security vulnerabilities and licensing availability of their current fleet controller. This department requested from Larry Keno of ECMC to provide quotes for a cloud-based system to replace our existing desktop system. We received 2 proposals, one from RM Darley Impol Company at $21,773.71 and American Petroleum at $22,445. The lowest proposal was the $21,773.71. Town and Highway Department uses a similar non-cloud-based system, and we have met with the Highway Department and Police Department to assess if this system is adequate to serve our needs. It was determined that a single cloud-based system was sufficient to meet the town's needs. This upgrade provides the PD and Engineering Department more efficient methodology to remotely access the pump controls, that is to start up, reset, or shut down the system as needed. There are insufficient funds in the Building and Grounds Improvement line. However, money can be moved from the contingency line through a budget revision for this expense. We recommend that it be awarded so we get an upgrade to this system.
Rich, the only question I have is, I noticed that, I just want to make sure I got the right guy, R&M. The travel and labor is $7,245. My mic is on, okay? If there's going to be cursing, guys, I'm going to let you know right now, it's going to stop, okay? So, Rich, the question... Okay, thank you. Thank you. Can everyone hear me now?
Just turn the fans off then.
Dominic, can you turn the microphones up?
Just turn the fans off.
All right. So Rich, my question, the problem is, guys, I can't talk too close into it because then it does something, okay? So I asked him to please turn it up if he can. So please bear with us. If you can't hear us, just don't curse. Just like raise your hand or something. We can see. We're all here for the same reason. So my question was, Rich, for the travel and labor, it has $7,245. Can you just get a breakdown of that? It just seems excessive.
No problem, I will do that.
Thank you.
Everything else good, Board?
Yep.
Thank you very much.
You know how to turn those off?
The fans? You want me to turn them off? I will.
Turn them off on the way out. That way it's less noise for them.
I will do that. I'm going to move this table up so a couple of more chairs can be, put forward here.
Thank
Okay?
you. Okay, and our second item on the work session is Ed Barnett, a member of the Environmental Conservation Board. His term is coming up, and he sent an email requesting to be put back on the ECB. I don't know if that's 6 years. How long is that one?
5 years.
3.
It's a weird term. It's like June 16th to June 15th the next year, but it is a 3-year term.
All right, so the board knows Ed Barnett is requesting to be put back on. So a couple announcements. First, we have a vacancy in the Zoning Board of Appeals. if anyone is interested in joining the Zoning Board of Appeals, please submit a letter of interest and a resume to my office by July 19th, 2024. You can email it to kjk@ci.carmel.my.us. That would be to Kevin, my executive assistant, or you could, of course, mail it to the supervisor's office, Carmel Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10512. And then the only other announcement I have is that this is the last meeting that we were going to have in June. Okay, our next town board meeting is July 10th, Wednesday, July 10th, again at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. Anyone else have comments?
I have two announcements. One, I'm not sure if you guys saw on your way in the lobby, there's some art that from some local students from Building Bridges. My wife and I attended an art show last Friday at the Putnam County Youth Bureau, and today was the last day that it was going to be on display. So Naomi Brown and myself orchestrated for the art to be displayed here in Town Hall for the next week. There's students from Carmel and Mahopac, so on your way out, please take a look. And then the other announcement is July 20th. I'm going to be hosting a fishing derby at Sycamore Park with the Putnam County Federation. First for 50 students, first 50 kids will receive a fishing pole, a tackle box, tackle. There'll be light refreshments, so please look out for a sign-up sheet soon. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, but we're going to go,
Oh, the signage show?
right, we're going to go from right to left. Oh, you got to go by the signage sheet? Oh. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So I get to read names. So before we begin the public hearing, I want to introduce the attorney here that we have with us, Adam Rodriguez from Bleakley Platt. He'll be representing the board in this matter. So first, thank everyone for coming tonight. Our first public hearing number 1, is a proposed local law establishing a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of applications and permits for battery energy storage systems in the town of Carmel. So before we begin the public hearing, I just want to address a couple of points. Okay, we value and we've been encouraging your comments. Okay, we want you to participate. But in light of the number here, I just ask, please don't be redundant, okay? We're gonna limit you to 5 minutes, and comments should be on the moratorium in general, not other topics, okay? And on the moratorium, that's what, it's a public hearing on the moratorium. And regarding questions, the board will not be providing answers. There will not be discussion. There will not be a back and forth. We want your statements, and, thank you very much. It'll be noted. And the written statements and comments that we've already received in email and through the snail mail, those have all been put on the record already. And any more that come in, we're going to be leaving this open for written comments until June 30th. So if someone has something else that they think of, they want to add, you can email us. So your cooperation is greatly appreciated, please, for decorum. So right now I request that our town clerk, Alice Daly. Oh. And there's a court reporter here. I didn't get your name, though. Jana Hernandez, everyone. Jana Hernandez is a court reporter taking down a transcript of everything. So I ask our town clerk, Alice Daly, if she could read the notice of public hearing, please.
Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel will conduct a public hearing at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, on Wednesday, June 19th, 2024, at 7 p.m. or as soon thereafter that evening as possible, on a proposed local law establishing a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of applications and permits for battery energy storage system in the Town of Carmel as follows. Town of Carmel proposed local law number of the year 2024, a local law establishing a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of applications and permits for battery energy storage system in the Town of Carmel. Be it enacted by the Town Board of the Town of Carmel, Putnam County, State of New York as follows. Section 1, Purpose. The purpose of this local law is to protect the public health, safety, and welfare of the residents of the Town of Carmel and to maintain the status quo by temporarily suspending the processing of land use approvals as provided herein and to further suspend the rights of landowners and their designees to obtain development approvals as identified below for a period of 6 months from the date of the adoption of this local law, while the Town Board studies, analyzes, and determines potential appropriate revisions and amendments to the Town Code regarding the propriety of battery energy storage systems as defined below. Section 2, Definitions. Battery energy storage system. One or more
Alice, we could waive the entire reading. We don't need to read the whole thing if,
Thank you very much.
if no one objects.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. So the first speaker on the list here is Colleen Coxon.
Hi,
Hi.
Colleen Coxon, Mahopac resident, and I'm here tonight in support of the proposed moratoriums. Over the last several months, we have listened to community members speak to the health and safety concerns, the financial damage, and the emotional tolls this land use will take on our families, our children, our investments, and our community. I realize that every applicant in front of our boards has a right to due process, but when that right infringes upon the safety and well-being of the community, I strongly expect my elected officials to fill their role with the promises they made when they earned their seat: leadership, integrity, and honesty. Granting a moratorium will be fulfilling what a town board is elected to do, serving the greater good for all rather than the benefit of a few. I ask that you all take note of the evidence that has been presented to you in the recent weeks, including national and local headlines over the last year. These battery plants are dangerous and pose a threat to our community. I implore you to approve both proposals tonight without an extension to June 30th. Thank you.
Thank you. Parrish? Is that, what do you think that says? Erica?
Eddie.
Oh, Eddie.
Eddie Parsons.
Eddie Parsons. Your D's look like C's and L's. I'm sorry, Eddie. Oh,
Good.
yep.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, we stand here before you not as residents of Mahopac, not as residents of Somers, not as Republicans or Democrats, but we stand here before you as Americans. Americans for weeks have stood up for their families. Americans who have stood up for their towns. Americans who have stood up to government policies that will harm us. Americans who have stood up to big business who stands amongst us tonight. Big business who does not live in this town or care about this town. They are nowhere close to where we live. Most importantly, we stand here tonight as one. One community standing shoulder to shoulder in this fight for what is right. We hope that you, the town board, are part of this one. If we don't fight for our towns, who will? The Parchin family is against this battery storage facility. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Michelle, I can read that one, thank you. Michelle Stewart?
Good evening, everyone. Hi, my name is Michelle Stewart. I live at 14 Cornelius Lane. I support a 6-month and would request for a 12-month moratorium. So today I want to talk about a few things. The impact that battery energy storage systems have on property value, on health, the absolute logistical nightmares that they pose, and the broad impact that they have on thousands and potentially millions of people when toxic chemicals can go into the air and into the water systems as well as the environment. So let's start with the decrease in land value. The Texas University study looked at the impact on home values that are in proximity to BESSes from a few feet to 3 miles, as well as the size of the facilities from 1 megawatt to 100 megawatts. These findings demonstrated that a negative impact on home values, the closer homes were to the battery plants, the bigger the decrease in home value, and the closer to the larger facilities, that also impacted the value even more significantly. Overwhelmingly, respondents in this study felt that installations such as BESSes were not only dangerous and would hurt the property value, but they also said that they never would in their right minds choose to buy homes in or around these areas. This would mean that any sort of BESS in any kind of community would completely change the landscape from being a popular sought-out town or neighborhood to one that would be proactively avoided and red zoned. Now I want to pivot and start speaking about health and logistics. So when I first found out what a BESS was, the first thing that I did was I started doing immense research. I reached out to friends who worked for our government agencies, some in the EPA, and I wanted to understand the risks that they posed on our health and on our families and on the environment. So I learned about the fires, how they explode, they burn for days, weeks, even months, depending on the size. I think some of us have seen some of these things just transpire in the news. And when a fire erupts during summer months, homes will have to shut off their AC units to ensure that no air is filtered from the outside in. If it is freezing, same thing, home heating units have to be shut off. I want to note that for small children and elderly, per doctor's orders, temperatures for these people have to be between 65 and 75 degrees. During a fire, there are shelter-in-place and evacuation zone guesstimates because these plants are experimental, and our state legislators have even stated such, okay? After a fire, every single filter in every single home must be replaced, okay? So think about that. The water is immediately contaminated. Nobody can drink from their water. And so towns have to then provide drinking water until the water can be tested, the air can be tested, and the ground can be tested, proven, so that people are safe to drink it and are safe to then live in these homes and areas. So what would a plan be if thousands of people are going to be sheltering in place without any warning? Is there supposed to be storing a bottled water, canned goods? Who will be providing these things? And in addition to the filter replacements for all of these homes and businesses and schools, HVAC systems have to be replaced. Who pays for this? Who is going to be doing this? How long would these things take? It's just important that people think about the logistics. So after all the filters are replaced, houses must get power washed to the point where there are no remnants of hazardous materials. Air, ground, and water testing must begin. This is a continuous process to make sure that toxic levels of chemicals and metals are gone. Who does these testings? Who provides water after a fire? Okay, so we've talked about the logistical nightmares that these things can pose. I think we all get the picture. Now, fires are burning, toxic gases, inhalable metals are emitted, and the hazards to the body, specifically and immediately to the lungs, reports of shortness in breath, difficulty breathing, tightness in chest are just a few of the symptoms people who have breathed in these airs will experience and have reported experiences in. So let's talk about the lack of data, the unknown risk. These BESSes are experimental. The research to establish what the health impact on people is happening in real time. I am so sorry for the people who have breathed in the air of these fires, and I am scared to see what will happen to their health, to their family's health, and to their community's health from the level of exposures to the toxic gases and metals over time, of what will happen to them. There are no studies that show the impact on health from exposure to BESS, to the fires, to the aftermath, to the exposure. None, not a single one. Now, when we all take medicines, when we all eat food, these medicines are strictly looked at. They go through phase testing, and they do this testing on lab rats, okay? Now, the reason that I review this and I'm talking about that is because there are standards of testing.
You can wrap that up for me?
Sure. My point is that there are 0 longitudinal studies done, and that the people who live near these battery farms, their health records actually become the findings that will be used to demonstrate what is actually safe in the future. So anybody who lives near these things, just know that their health records are going to be used as the studies. People are used as lab rats. That's the point, okay?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lauren?
Wow.
Welcome back.
Okay, good evening. I'm gonna put my glasses on. You know my favorite thing here is the mic, just lowering it a little bit, okay. So, good evening, Lauren Roslin, Center Road. I stood before you exactly 11 weeks ago on the evening of April 3rd, 2024, not really knowing of the journey we were about to embark on, and what a journey it has been. I'd like to highlight some key points. We began at a meeting in which we came to the town and asked to be heard. We approached a board that at that point was unwilling to listen for various reasons that we did not and may still not understand. Since that day, we've come a long way. We have discussed and hashed out a range of topics, and in the end, we have all learned. I, for one, have learned about things I never thought I needed to understand. I've learned about my First Amendment right to be heard. I have learned about meeting rules, and I have adjusted to make myself and my fellow residents heard. I have learned about local boards and about the roles they assume. I have learned that towns have master plans and zoning codes meant to protect us, but that can't adapt fast enough to keep us safe from big business. I have learned about local and state politics and how heavily influenced it is by big business. I have learned about moratoria, its purpose, and why it exists. I have learned about state legislation, how it currently reads, and how it may read in the future. I have also learned that at the end of the day, I'd like my state to continue to allow for home rule, as it always has been, so that our elected local officials can engage in the exact process that I just described, so that we can make progress together, so that our voices, our safety, and our concerns can be heard. On that note, I have learned more about the dangers of lithium-ion batteries than I have ever wanted to know. Those dangers have been and will continue to be outlined tonight and for weeks to come. They include words like fire, explosion, thermal runaway, environmental pollution and contamination, property damage, and lost property values. The average failure age of a BESS system is 18 months. 18 months to expose our community to all the things I just listed. The thought of that is ludicrous. And that is why we all stand before you tonight. We are here to readdress where we began on April 3rd, to re-outline the dangers that brought us to you, to ask that you adopt a moratorium on BESS facilities, including current, pending, and future projects and applications, so that our town can change its comprehensive plan and zoning codes to protect its residents, and so that the zoning code and comprehensive plan can align with state-imposed regulations that have been recently outlined. Making those changes takes time, and the only way to have that time is to pause. So here we are at a critical moment, a moment that we have strived for and fought for with everything we have, a moment for you to show this community that you value our safety, that you have heard our concerns and that you will do everything in your power to make sure that is your #1 priority. The Roslin family is against best systems in our residential neighborhoods today, tomorrow, next week, 6 months from now, and forever.
Thank you. Kevin O'Keefe. Kevin? Oh.
Information I'd like to pass on for the record.
Sure, thank you.
Good evening, Carmel Town Board, Carmel Planning Board as well. Even though you're not here, this is for you. I would like to discuss 5 major points that make a lithium-ion battery energy storage facility unfavorable in our town of Somers and neighboring Carmel. First, there's a high risk of fire and explosion, which can cause serious harm to residents and first responders. Second, this facility and the potential to contaminate our streams, reservoirs, and wells, posing a threat to our water supply. Third, we need to consider a liability risk that East Point could face. What is the insurance deductible for damage caused by East Point, and will property owners face an increase in insurance premiums? Fourth, there can be significant decrease in property values that comes with having a battery storage facility in our towns. Fifth, a potential threat to vandalism and both domestic and foreign terrorism. Risk of fire. I would like to discuss the fire safety aspect and refer to the 2023 Fire Safety Stand-Down Manual recognized by the International Association of Firefighters, AFL-CIO, which I had handed in. This is a matter of great importance that requires immediate attention, and I urge you to take very seriously. Please refer to page 2 to the 2023 Firefighter Safety Stand-Down Guide. Also, in reference to the site plan, I have used the scale located on the bottom right corner of the site plan. I have determined that the furthest battery unit from the proposed Miller Road entrance is 400 feet both to the north and to the south battery from the proposed entrance. Considering a volunteer fire apparatus not being able to reach these batteries with their apparatus or even their hose, the only way to approach a fire on the south battery from 150 feet defensive perimeter, as mentioned as from the AFL-CIO, 150 feet is the defensive perimeter for a firefighter, would be in the literal backyards of properties along Lounsbury Drive in Somers. And in the case of the fire furthest north battery, firefighters would have to access it from the Putnam County Trailway. It is mentioned in the AFL-CIO Safety's Hand Guide, when a battery catches fire, that water will be used to spray the surrounding batteries in order to keep cool and not catch fire. If it takes 2,000 gallons of water to put out a Tesla car fire, how much water will it take to maintain a 116 megawatt battery storage fire? The largest Mahopac fire apparatus holds 5,000 gallons of water. Not enough water to keep 96 tractor-trailer sized batteries cool. Where is all this water coming from? Next is water contamination. It's crucial to consider the potential environment impacts of a battery facility, especially in cases of emergencies like fires. In the scenario I've described, the runoff water from firefighters could potentially carry contaminants into Plum Brook, which then flows through the wetlands into Lake Shinnerock and Amiwok Reservoir. Given that 500 feet in the surrounding area of Amiwok Reservoir perimeter is protected land, any contamination could have serious consequences to the local ecosystem and water supply. The value of properties. The oxides in the chemical makeup of lithium cells mean that once a thermal runaway point is reached, the cells produce large amounts of oxygen, which feeds fire, and they are extremely difficult to extinguish. Burning ion cells can also emit toxic gases such as hydrogen cyanide, hydrogen chloride, and ammonia, which are harmful to human health and can form highly explosive vapor clouds that can produce rocket-like flames when they vent. Living near a battery storage facility, especially one housing lithium-ion batteries, with their associated risk of volatility, flammability, and thermal runaway, could potentially impact homeowners' insurance premiums and coverage of personal property. Insurance companies assess the level of risk associated with the properties and their surroundings when determining premiums and coverage. If you live in proximity to a battery storage facility with lithium batteries, insurers may view your property as being at higher risk due to the potential hazards posed by these batteries.
The increased fire risk, difficulty in extinguishing lithium battery fires, and the emission of toxic gases in a case of thermal event could be factors considered by insurers when underwriting homeowners' insurance policies for properties in close proximity to such facilities. Homeowners near battery storage facilities may experience higher insurance premiums or face coverage limitations related to fire damage or hazardous material exposure. If so, who will cover the cost of these expenses? And if a neighbor's property is damaged by the fire and smoke contamination or the shrapnel from explosions, what is the deductible that East Point Energy offers to cover our damages? Who will cover the hospital expenses due to smoke inhalation and sickness? Decrease of property value, my neighbor had covered. Vandalism or even terrorism, my last set here. As mentioned by East Point Energy in the minutes from a previous Carmel Planning Board meeting, there will be no personnel on site. The threat of vandalism at the battery facility, with maybe young teenagers that face large batteries with graffiti, or homeless individuals coming off the trail looking for a place to sleep, consider the location tucked away in a tree line, off a popular bike path with dim lighting, could be a great location for a teenage hangout. Furthermore, the potential for both foreign and domestic terrorism must be considered, especially since the facility will not have any personnel on site. Drawing from military experience and knowledge of military strategy, it is crucial to acknowledge the impact that targeting infrastructure can have disrupting everyday life, as seen in conflict zones like Iraq and Palestine. It is important to address these risks by considering a security detail to ensure the safety and security of the facility and the surrounding community. This will be the largest, best facility in New York State, if not the largest on the Eastern Seaboard. To not consider some sort of security detail is just absurd. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Stephanie Azadian? Stephanie?
Hi, my name is Stephanie Azadian. I live on Lounsbury Drive in Somers. I have been coming to every meeting since February. So thank you for giving me the time to talk tonight. Today we gather to discuss a matter of critical importance to the community, the proposed moratorium on battery storage facilities. These facilities demand careful consideration as they will have far-reaching implications for our environment, communities, and safety. First and foremost, let me emphasize that the community's well-being should always be paramount. It is imperative to pause and assess the potential risks these facilities pose to the community, some including extreme fire hazard, toxic environmental contamination, increased risk of health issues, light and noise pollution, depreciating property values, target for cyber and terrorist attacks, disruption to wetlands, and decommissioning issues. Battery storage systems raise legitimate concerns from residents not only all over New York State, but across the United States. In recent years, there has been significant increase in fires related to battery energy storage systems. These fire risks cannot be ignored. The fires related to battery storage systems are caused by various factors, such as manufacturing defects, battery damage, improper installation, weather-related incidents, and thermal runaway. In addition to fires, there is significant environmental harm caused by these battery energy storage systems that must be considered. The production, operation, and disposal of these batteries involve hazardous materials, including lithium, cobalt, and other toxic chemicals. The list of potential risks that these facilities pose can go on, but the truth is these facilities are still in the very early and experimental stages. There is no research or data regarding long-term harmful effects that these facilities can cause to people, animals, and the environment. This is why the town needs to act now and pass this proposed 6-month moratorium tonight to protect not only the residents of Carmel, but all of the residents of the surrounding towns as well. This would provide the town the time to draft comprehensive regulations prohibiting any and all battery storage systems, to impose model law that will regulate these type of systems, and to complete the town's master plan. By taking these steps, you are ensuring the safety and well-being of the residents in your town, as many other towns across New York State already have done. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a white Jeep Cherokee registered to Wheels LT. License plate is KJA 5544. King John Adam 5544. Okay, Mark Dupree? Dupree.
If you pass French class, you can pronounce it.
Yeah, I'm horrible.
Okay.
Worst with Italian names.
Anyway, thanks for the ability to speak tonight. I'm a resident of 13 Lounsbury Drive. My neighbor Stephanie was just up here. The proposed battery plant, as we understand it, is going to be located approximately 200 feet from the back of my property line. So obviously, it causes a great deal of concern to me. Early on in the process, I wrote a letter to Carmel at the urging of the initial group of residents in my neighborhood that got together, which frankly has gotten huge. And I can't tell you how proud I am to be a member of our group. I hand out flyers, I go to protests, I do everything we can so that this proposed project won't happen. So thanks and a shout out to everybody. And my background is corporate and a lot of corporate due diligence, and I realize what a moratorium is, which, again, I'm all in favor of the 6-month moratorium, and I think 12 months should be considered. But typically, due diligence, you get all the facts out there, you mine it, and you study it, and you get it right. And honestly, if you look at it, I'm hopeful that the people, you know, whose decisions, I guess, are in the hands of many, will do the right thing as respects the battery plant. But as far as the moratorium is concerned, 6 months, 12 months is even better. So thank you very much.
Thank you. How about a Richard Russo with a white Jeep in the road? That alarm is going off too, apparently. No? Okay. Paul Harold. Paul Harold.
Good evening, members of the town board. My name is Paul Harold. I live in 7 Cornelius Lane in Somers, New York. Approximately 10 weeks ago, my neighbors and myself found out about a proposed lithium battery storage facility. The notice of this facility did not come from any officials, but we were lucky enough and fortunate enough to discover it ourselves, which apparently has been going on for a couple of years. Upon hearing this news, a group of us immediately began conducting our own research and investigations into this project. What we have discovered is nothing short of disturbing, and many here tonight will share these findings and concerns with you. As we all know and have read about the toxic fumes and gases given off from these facilities, when they catch fire, which is supported by ample research, and when they do catch fire, and they do, they can not be extinguished. They can burn for days, weeks, or even longer. These toxic fumes can travel for miles. As a member of the New York City Police Department, I was a first responder at 9/11. Plane crash afterwards in the far Rockaways that was headed for the Dominican Republic. I've had a lot of firsthand experience with toxic fumes and gases. I am now retired and have 3 different types of cancer from these toxic fumes and gases that I dealt with. Of the 19 men that was in my unit, 5 have passed away, and 7 more of us have cancer from toxic fumes and gases. Let's see, where am I? I can only hope that the members of this board and the members of the planning board come to the realization of the dangers of these facilities create within our communities and put an end to this potential catastrophic situation. Hopefully, we get the moratorium passed tonight, and 6 months, 12 months, would even be better. Thank you.
Sorry for the loss of the guys in your squad. Excuse me? I said I'm sorry for the loss of the guys in your squad.
Thank you.
Andrew Capelli, attorney? Campanelli. Very good, thank you. Told you I was bad at Italian names.
No problem. Good evening. Andrew Campanelli, Campanelli Associates, PC, 1757 Merrick Avenue, Suite 204, Merrick, New York. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for... Good evening. I'm here representing roughly 50 property owners in Carmel, and I'm here on their behalf to speak in favor of the moratorium, as well as the motion to keep the public hearing open until June 30th. I'm going to limit my comments to that, and I'm also going to shorten my comments because I would like everybody to have a chance to speak. I'm from out of town, but I represent the homeowners here, and they have legitimate concerns. So my comments will be limited to the moratorium. The proposed facility would be one of the largest, best facilities anywhere in the state of New York. Now, I've been looking at this proposal for over a month, as well as your local code, your comprehensive plan, and your proposed changes to it. I've also studied the findings of the federal, state, and local governments across the entire United States and their recommendations as to what a town should do when faced with this specific type of facility. It's commonly agreed by federal, state, and local governments there is no safe way to maintain these facilities. The technology is too new, and they simply don't know how to stop them from going on fire. Fortunately, the state of New York has adopted minimum requirements it suggests all towns implement to give even the most basic secure features for their constituents and their towns. These recommendations were created by the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority created by our governor, whose job it is to figure out how to make these things as safe as possible and how to give guidance to towns as to how to deal with it. And so there are three principal recommendations that the state of New York recommends all towns, including Carmel, do to guarantee just bare minimum safeguards. And through no fault of the town, I fault the town in no way, shape, or form for this, you really haven't implemented in whole or part any of the recommendations that the state says is the bare minimum you need. I don't fault the town because the federal government hasn't been able to figure it out, or the state or other towns. But here's what they are. New York CERTA recommends that the town do three things. Number one, amend your comprehensive plan to achieve certain specific objectives. I'll mention them in a second. Second, adopt a local law regulating such facilities, which you've started doing. And third, add site plan requirements. I'm going to go with the third because that's the easiest. CERTA recommends that when you amend your zoning code, you include specific site plan requirements specific to best facilities. There's a laundry list. Your proposed amend change to Chapter 156 of your zoning code does not incorporate any of those requirements. It is critical for you to adopt the moratorium so that you have time to implement these three minimum basic safety requirements. That's the first one. So you need to amend it to include the site plan requirements. Second, you need to adopt a local law to regulate the facilities. You've started that, Chapter 146, and that's great. The best part is you would prohibit Tier 2 facilities. I can't understand who in their right mind would approve a 116 megawatt facility in this town. It's absurd. There's no basis for justifying it. The third and very important criteria is amending the comprehensive plan. Now, I know you're working on the master plan. There's a critical oversight in your plan that you missed, and here's what it is. Whenever there's a major fire, local towns never stand alone. Local fire departments are well-equipped, they're well-trained, they do the best they can. But when there's a 10-alarm fire, it is essential they can call upon the fire districts and departments from the adjacent municipalities to come to their aid. And so one of the most critical things that towns across the entire United States do is they look to set up plans with the adjacent facilities to pool their resources to know if we get in trouble because this thing goes on fire, we need Summers, we need other towns to send their fire departments over to help us. And where you don't have that, it's a problem. It is my understanding that at least one or more of the adjacent municipalities have decided that they will not voluntarily expose their firefighters to the dangers and risks associated with a fire police facility. It is critical that in amending your master plan, you take into account the need for assistance from adjacent localities without which your fire department cannot, under any circumstances, handle a fire for this facility. I don't care what training you give them. I don't care what equipment you give them. They can't do it. So please, adopt the moratorium to enable you to address these three factors. And the reason I'm putting on this on the record is to create a proper record to protect your decision, meaning, in the event you see fit to adopt the moratorium tonight, I want to make sure it is as immune from challenge as possible. And that's why I've addressed these three specific things. And to enable everyone to speak tonight, I'm going to withhold the rest of my comments, hoping that you leave the public record open for 30 days. I will submit a written submission, which will give you a more detailed analysis of what needs to be done to protect the residents of the town of Carmel. Thank you.
Scott Maganelli?
Hello. Good evening. My name is Scott Moriello, and I live at 17 Lounsbury Drive, Baldwin Place, New York. The last time that I stood at this podium was on April 3rd. On that night, due to miscommunication or confusion, Mahopac residents and Somers residents were not even permitted to mention the proposed 24 Miller Road battery energy storage system. Instead of commending close to 100 citizens for being concerned enough about the safety of their community to come in person to a town board meeting, they were unfortunately scolded when they attempted to voice their opposition to this BES. While I understand the purpose of restricting comment that night was to be cautious, the optics were atrocious. So I am sure that I can speak for many people here when I say we welcome the opportunity to speak here tonight against any battery energy storage systems being placed in Carmel, that we support this moratorium. I hope that this is the end of a long road, but I fear that it is just the beginning, because I am deeply concerned. I am deeply concerned because behind each of these proposed BES systems is a foreign multi-billion-dollar energy company like East Point Energy out of Virginia, owned by Equinor, a multi-billion-dollar Norwegian oil company, and very wealthy and powerful local property owners. They are willing to take all of the rewards, and we are forced to assume all of the risks. I am deeply concerned because I think a 6-month moratorium is way too short. I still support the moratorium because it's the best we can do right now. I would have preferred it to be at least 1 year, because we all know that government and democracy in general takes time and patience. And we want clear, thoughtful, and comprehensive legislation that bans any battery energy storage systems ever being put in our towns. I'm concerned because these facilities are dangerous. You all know why these systems are dangerous, and you have seen the fires in the news and in our state. Our two communities are linked, and I think that it's important to ask what Mahopac wants to be known for. Presently, I see the people in town of Mahopac as a thriving and caring community, known for their strong creative businesses, natural spaces, generous citizens, and of course, Lake Mahopac. Now, as a Somers resident, maybe I'm not too happy about their sports programs sometimes. But even that links our two communities. It's healthy competition. So we have to ask ourselves, does Mahopac want to be known as the town who permitted the largest battery energy storage system in New York State to be built in their community at the expense of the health and safety of their own citizens? I know they don't. Battery energy storage systems of this size and scope, in the country are almost always put on the site of an old decommissioned power plant away from businesses and residents. Just think when a fire breaks out at this facility. Think about businesses having to shut down for hours if not days, while the fires burn. Think of the fact that the traffic on Route 6 will be diverted for days. The police presence alone that will be necessary for that. The residents of Somers patronize the businesses of Mahopac on a daily basis. Councilman Kearns, I recently saw you at the hardware store, right? So we're linked. Our communities are linked. I was getting gas the other day on Route 6 around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I saw 4 to 5 school buses full of kids turn into Union Valley Road. And then I gazed up the hill to 24 Miller Road and imagined a fire from this proposed facility. Think of those school bus drivers not knowing what to do. Do I head back to school? Do I drop off the kids and let them walk to their houses with all the smoke in the air? Are their parents home? That's scary. And a town should not have to put their kids in jeopardy for a few influential people to profit, because that is really what this is, profit. For the companies, NYSEG, and the landowners. Lastly, I am deeply concerned because elections for the town board will be held in November. And I think you are all sincere in your desire to protect your community. But we need to fast track the reworking of the master plan in order to ban these battery energy systems before November elections. Your speed and actions over the next 4 months will truly demonstrate your sincerity in this matter, and we will be vigilantly watching over the next 4 months. In that spirit, we respectfully request that you keep us informed of your progress on the master plan and be ever transparent during the process to further demonstrate your commitment to the town's safety. Your citizens are depending on you to protect us. I mentioned earlier, what does Mahopac want to be known for? Well, I ask you, as the town board, what do you want to be known for? What do you want your legacy to be? When the fires break out at this proposed facility, it will unfortunately erase all the good that you have done in this town. Instead, you'll be known as the board that enacted a moratorium for 6 months but fell short on making the long-term lasting changes to the master plan that allowed for the largest energy storage system in New York State to be built in Mahopac. Please prove me wrong. Thank you. Please stand.
Noel?
Sound a bit. Well, it's going to be a bit of a tough act to follow. Noel Moriello, a lifelong resident of the town of Somers, currently reside at 17 Lounsbury Drive in Baldwin Place with my husband, Scott, and 2 kids. Good evening, Supervisor Cazzari, members of the Carmel Town Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak in favor of the proposed moratorium on the battery energy storage facilities and to voice our concerns of the risks posed by these dangerous systems. A moratorium would be the responsible course of action, as it would allow the town of Carmel to pass a comprehensive master plan for future development of the town, adopt a model law as proposed by New York State, and conduct necessary research into the long-term effects and environmental impact of these BESS systems on atmospheric conditions and potential soil and water contamination should these systems fail, as they so often do. This is very clearly a situation where technology has outpaced our ability to keep up legislatively. At the very minimum, this will require time, 6 months and potentially longer, and thoughtful, responsible consideration and legislation. Additionally, in considering the comprehensive town plan, I urge the board to include that no BESS system be allowed, and certainly not Tier 2 BESS systems storing greater than 600 kilowatts be allowed in the town of Carmel. These facilities pose an even greater number of risks because of their size and scope, most significantly the grave risk of overheating, off-gassing, thermal runaway, and the possibility of explosion. The risks these pose to our family, homes, businesses, and the volunteer departments and first responders of Mahopac and Somers are not ones we are willing to shoulder. As elected officials, your primary responsibility is to keep your residents and communities safe. Banning Tier 2 systems and BESS systems would promote the safety and security of Carmel and neighboring communities. It is the responsible thing to do. Just last summer, New York State saw BESS failures and fires at much smaller sites in Lyme, Warwick, East Hampton. These storage sites have no place in residential communities and commercial centers like Mahopac and Baldwin Place, certainly not 200 feet from homes and residents. Even more alarming were the best failures at sites in California like Moss Landing and most recently Otay Mesa, which experienced thermal runaway, burned for days and even weeks, releasing toxic hydrogen fluoride and cyanide gas into the atmosphere. At least those sites were situated on decommissioned power plants away from area homes and businesses. The responsible thing to do is study the long-term impact of these fires and failures, and there are simply not much data out there because these structures are too new. Further consideration should also be given to decommissioning plans for such BESS systems, should they even be allowed in the comprehensive plan. Lithium-ion batteries are not the future of energy storage, but merely stopgap measures until safer and more sustainable methods can be found. What then will become of the tons of lithium that are present in batteries that store 116 megawatts behind our homes and businesses? A decommissioning plan must be in place, one that details exactly how these toxic batteries will be removed and disposed of, not just the standard energy company response that there simply will be a plan. Take the time now to research and incorporate the specifics into the comprehensive plan so we don't all pay the price a decade from now. Finally, it's imperative that local officials continue to vocalize how vital it is that decisions regarding BESS systems remain at the local level with local government. Local government is most responsive to the needs of its communities and in the best position to make these decisions. Remember, you are at the forefront of this, setting the example, and you are ultimately responsible for what happens in your town and our communities. Take that responsibility seriously, prioritize the health and safety of our families, homes, and businesses. Use the time afforded by the moratorium to get ahead of this and be the leadership we can get behind. Please do what is right, stand with your residents, protect our communities. Pass this moratorium, do the research and the work involved to promote responsible, sustainable, and safe development. It is the right and responsible thing to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
I like your shirt.
James? James? I assume it's your father, Scott? Oh, it's your son? Oh.
I'm James Moriello. I live at 17 Lounsbury Drive in Baldwin Place, Somers, New York. Good evening, town board members and Supervisor Cazzari. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. As a Life Scout with Somers Troop 228, we are conservation-minded in the outdoors and observe the premise to leave no trace, basically taught to leave the natural environment better than we found it. While green energy programs are important, large-scale Tier 2 lithium-ion battery storage facilities generate no energy, green or otherwise. And they definitely would leave a trace. They would leave a noticeable trace regarding the trees that would be cut down. They would leave a disastrous trace for the habitats of animals and species that would be disrupted and disturbed through its construction, such as the long-eared bat. They would also disrupt the ecosystem of our fields and forests, and also leave a trace with our wetlands and feed into our Muscoot River and reservoir systems. And that's assuming that there are no fires to contend with. Ultimately, the impact of constructing these large-scale industrial facilities on our natural environment and the animal and human species that live there require a great deal of further study. So I ask you to fully consider the environmental impact and pass a 6-month moratorium to conduct further studies. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Good job, James. So, Jacqueline Hickey? Jacqueline Gervin Hickey.
I just want to thank you for your service and giving me the time to speak. My name is Jacqueline Gervin Hickey. I'm a resident of Somers, 40 McKeel Street, Katona, New York. It's a fancy way of saying Southern Somers. This program, I don't have anything formally written because I didn't plan on speaking originally, but I'm very compelled to. I grew up in Mahopac. I was born in the old hospital. My dad worked in the schools as the assistant superintendent of Mahopac schools for years. As some of you know, my dad was also the chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals for the town of Carmel for 30 years, okay? My dad gave 30 years of his life serving this town, okay? 3 decades, think about that. I originally found out about this lithium battery plant 3 months ago. I learned about it through Somer's mom's Facebook page. I would have had no idea, none. As a registered nurse and a former public health nurse, I can tell you that this is absolutely ludicrous. I do not want Mahopac, Carmel, Somers, South Salem, I want none of us to be cancer clusters, because when this thing goes up, and it will, that's what's going to happen. No, it's not in my backyard, but when it goes on fire, it's going to be in my backyard. I know the master plan, you have a lot of work to do, and I respect that. And I'm hoping that you will do the right thing by people. You will think of the legacy you want this town to have, your own personal legacies, because that matters. You know, with great responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility, and you really need to think about it. And just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, okay? So I thank you very much, and I hope you do the right thing. I oppose this to no end. I have met wonderful people here that I never knew, and I'm thankful for that. And I know if my father were here today, he would never allow this in our backyard, our neighbor's backyard, surrounding community's backyard. He would be vehemently against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Kim Grillo?
Good evening, everyone. Came all off. Didn't want to hear, you can't hear me. My name is Kim Grillo, and I'm from Somers, and I oppose best facilities in or near our residential neighborhoods. I do not want any of these projects near myself, my neighbors, or anywhere in my town. I am beyond worried about the safety of our neighborhood, the fires that can and will happen, the water that can and will become contaminated, and the air we breathe can be toxic. There is not one person in this room and involved in this project that can 100% guarantee that all these issues cannot and will not happen. Where is the common sense? Where is the common decency of thinking of people, their children, their homes? No one has the right to come in and turn our worlds upside down. These best facilities, not farms, should never, ever, ever be built near any residential homes, period. I'm hoping and praying the Carmel Planning Board and the Town Board denies this project entirely for the sake of all the families in the surrounding towns who want to live their lives knowing that they are safe in every way. Do not let this happen to our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Barbara Safron?
Good evening. Barbara Ciafrone. I live at 9 Lounsbury Drive, and I am in favor of a moratorium. 6 months, 12 months would be better. I'm opposed to this 116 megawatt lithium-ion battery supply plant that is proposed to be placed 200 feet from my property line, and I don't see how this will benefit the community. This is way too dangerous to be so close to our homes and small businesses in Mahopac and Somers. Some of my reasons for opposing this are fires, explosions, toxic chemicals, harmful gases, and thermal runaway. Fires can't be extinguished, and the best practice is to let them burn out. Since we are on a hill, it can get extremely windy, and strong winds can blow toxic ash far and wide and can cause soil and water contamination, especially with all the wetlands that feed 2 reservoirs, the Amawalk and the Muscoot. I don't ever want to go through the hell my sister went through on Meadowpark Road, having dry cleaning solvent in her well. You have no idea what it's like when you can't drink your water, bathe your children, cook, or take a shower. It's nothing but a nightmare, and your home loses total value. What saved them was hooking up to the Amawalk-Shenorock Water District, which went in like 20 years later. Who would be responsible if we get contaminated? I also worry about who's going to be responsible if we have to evacuate. I read some places have to evacuate a quarter to 1 mile and remain in place up to a mile or more. Where are we going if a fire breaks out in the middle of the night with small children, elderly parents, and pets? How much time do we have before we have to evacuate? And where are we going? And as we leave, we're breathing in toxic air. I worry about cyber threats. How do we know how safe they are from these, with the potential of backdoor access and security vulnerabilities? Do you really think a fence will stop someone with an agenda at an unmanned site? On the application, it mentions it will be in the middle of the property. It will be out of sight, not heard, out of mind. Well, it might be in the middle from east to west, but not north to south. I will see it, I will hear it, and it's been on my mind since the day I found out about this around February. Another thing I noticed on the application, it mentions facilities serving children, the elderly, people with disabilities. An example, they mention schools, hospitals, licensed daycare centers, or group homes within 1,500 feet of the project site. The application says yes, Creative Kids Child Care Center. What about the residences and businesses who are 200 to 1,500 feet away? We have children, we are elderly, and we have pets. In conclusion, I worry about our health, safety, environment, property values, and quality of life. And I want to know why we didn't get a notice in the mail about this proposed project. When it's election time, we get bombarded with flyers, but not one notice about this life-changing project. There needs to be a law where the community gets notified by mail, and not just those little signs that nobody notices that right now are covered with grass and almost on the ground. But there's a huge advertisement for the Putnam Window Tint Company. Thank you.
Thank you.
You skipped one. You skipped Scott's daughter, Amy. You went from Amy. You went from Amy to. You went from Amy to Jacqueline, or no, you went from James to Jacqueline. Amy Morello, she didn't get a chance to speak.
Oh, that's she was getting up.
Yes.
Sorry, Amy.
I'm the last Moriello, I promise.
There's so many it blended together. I'm sorry, Amy.
I know.
Family affair.
It really has been. Good evening, Councilman Kearns, Councilman Lombardi, Supervisor Cazzari, and Councilwoman McDonough. My name is Amy Moriello, and I've been a Somers resident my whole life. This doesn't sound like a huge feat compared to some of my neighbors sitting here tonight. Sorry. Okay, we'll try that. But I appreciate the opportunity to be heard, and I urge you to vote yes on a moratorium. Battery energy storage facilities come with risks. Thermal runaway, pollution, and fires are only a few more of the dangers threatening our beautiful communities and the future of their residents. I love living here, and I'm passionately opposed to this project because I want to continue living here. My neighbors and I have an obligation as residents to stand up for decisions that jeopardize our safety, and so do you. It's your job to responsibly serve your community under values of transparency, security, and respect. As a young educator myself, I'm taught to encourage empathy in my future classroom. The concept is simple, and it often sounds like me asking students to put themselves in other people's shoes. Tonight, I ask you to do the same thing. You have kids, some of whom are even my age. It's a special thing to want to return to your hometown. Future generations are built off of existing family foundations, and they are testaments to successful, sustainable communities. A 6-month moratorium is a step in the right direction. It's an opportunity to demonstrate the values you hold as a leader and a community member yourself. Additional time allows for comprehensive planning required to appropriately keep these facilities away from residential areas. I urge you to pass this moratorium and thoughtfully use the time to consider the safety and quality of life for our community, our citizens, and future generations. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. How about Bill Coleman?
Oh, no, you skipped Roland, I think.
What is it?
Roland, right?
Oh,
Did you,
Bill Coleman?
yes. I skipped Roland, sorry.
Oh, you wanna
But you
go?
go ahead, Bill.
Wanna go?
You go. Roland will come right up after. He can wait a minute. You're already standing.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll go. All right. My name is Bill Coleman. I'm an attorney. I'm with the law firm Abrams Fensterman, 81 Main Street, White Plains, New York. I represent the town of Somers. I'd like to thank. I'd like to thank the board for considering this important issue. The town of Somers is in favor of the moratorium. And I will submit my comments in writing as well, and I know a lot of townspeople want to make their own comments, so I will just give highlights of the written submission. All right? This type of facility does not belong in Carmel or Somers, and a proposed 6-month moratorium is a critical first step. This is too serious a matter to move forward without a full understanding of the risks associated with these facilities, and we applaud your efforts to take a breath and thoughtfully consider the best path forward. Many residents of Somers are very concerned, and rightfully so, that the proposed facility is being considered and fearful for the health and safety of their families, local first responders, and the environment. Within the past 5 years, the storage capacity of lithium battery facilities has grown exponentially, while laws and regulations have not caught up with this developing technology. The lack of regulation is precisely the reason why battery storage facilities fail so frequently, causing long-burning toxic fires in states across the country. Many comments will address, or already have addressed, health and environmental concerns, so I will highlight a few of the issues causing a high level of concern in the Somers community. First, the site plan for the proposed facility places the actual battery storage units, not just the perimeter of the facility, but the actual batteries, a mere 200 feet from the property lines of some Somers residents. This is untenable, unreasonable plan, because there is a very real risk of what we have heard about, a thermal runaway event, which is a very real possibility in this facility. What is a thermal runaway? Okay, it's an event that occurs in a lithium-ion battery. It causes temperatures to rise with combustible gases, causing the risk of ignition or explosion of the battery unit. These disasters can be initiated in numerous ways, including short circuits in the wiring, software malfunctions, internal or external fires, damage from natural disasters such as earthquakes or hurricanes, or mechanical defects. Because the proposed facility would be operated remotely for the most part, there would be few or no workers on site to address these failures or protect the facility during natural disasters before the situation turns into an uncontrollable emergency. The proposed moratorium is needed to study what will happen if a thermal runaway event occurs on the border of the towns of Carmel and Somers. We know that when these events occur within milliseconds, temperatures can exceed 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit as the energy stored in the battery field is released. Simultaneously with the rise in temperature, the battery fire will release high concentrations of fluoride gases, smoke, and other poisonous chemicals into the air, which pose an even greater threat to nearby residents and firefighters. Fluoride gases are particularly toxic, and inhalation can cause death from irregular heartbeat and pulmonary edema. Dermal exposure causes burns, rapid destruction of the cornea, and blindness. This is 200 feet from the Somers residences, okay? The hydrogen fluoride gas will dissolve quickly into hydrofluoric acid once it's exposed to moisture. In other words, once a firefighter comes and put water on it, that happens. It's an extremely corrosive acid. This goes into the groundwater system, all right? Because water will not smother this type of fire, it will burn for days or weeks, okay? While the proponents of the facility may not be overly concerned, recent events prove that these are legitimate concerns, all right? And I think we're familiar with recent events. In 2019, 4 firefighters were hospitalized at combating a fire storage facility in Arizona.
In 2022, there was a huge fire in California, and of course, last summer, there were 3 thermal runaway events in New York alone. And the proposed facility in Carmel would be nearly 6 times larger than the fire at those facilities. And, okay, I'm running out of time, so I'm going to skip and urge the board to consider my written submission. But one point I want to make is that in early 2020, East Point Energy was acquired by Equinor. At that time, there was only a handful of battery storage facilities in the U.S., and the board should seriously consider whether this company is capable of developing the sort of large-scale battery plant that is being proposed. It's the first of its kind in the U.S. for this company. And I would also urge the board to consider the fact that the proposed facility, or the proponent of the proposed facility, is relying on a zoning designation, a commercial designation, while the zoning code currently does not specifically define battery storage facilities, and I believe that it should. I would urge the board to pass the resolution, pass at least a 6-month moratorium. The town of Somers respectfully requests the board to pass a moratorium to protect the health and safety of residents, volunteer firefighters, and we are depending on you. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize, Roland. You've been waiting for weeks and weeks to speak.
Good evening, Town Board. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak. Oh, by the way, that was my wife, Barbara. She's the best. She is the best. She keeps me fat. Okay. In reviewing the tapes that have been played by the energy company, one of the things they put out is stopping outages. It's going to stop outages. That's not going to stop outages. You stop outages by tree trimming, circuit switches, auto reclosers. NYSEG has been doing a good job of that lately. This will not stop an outage. No storms and no trees will stop the outage. So what's going to happen in the event that this power is called upon, because you've got Times Square goes out of power. So now they're going to redirect the power back to Wood Street, down the lines to Dunwoody substation, boom, it goes down. I did the feeder runs. My background is nuclear, conventional generation, nuclear generation, substation building, transmission lines, distribution lines. I've done it. I'm a retired licensed electrician. I've had the good fortune to do all these jobs. I know what it takes to get this power where you have to bring it. It is not going to stay up here. The district operator will call a system operator and say, the system operator downtown will call the district operator, open up all your circuit breakers, black out everything up here in the North Country. We need it down in Times Square. That's what's going to happen. You're going to open all the switches, and it's all done on a computer from down, and I can't say, it's down sound. You're not going to stop a local outage. So for 4 hours, putting 160 megawatts in my backyard, and oh, by the way, when we talk about my backyard, I'm 200 feet, that's the property line. Where my window in my bedroom is, and I sleep with my wife, we're 250 feet from the nearest battery. I'll go one step further. We talk about these battery containers. They're going to the site plan is calling for 180 40-foot containers. Now, what that means, if you take it that size, that's about 8 to 10 acres. Look at the parking lot next to the firehouse. If you put all these containers in there, you're not going to squeeze a Volkswagen in when it's done. It just won't happen. It's too massive. We talk about thermal runaway. When that fire occurs, and it will occur, it's just a matter of when. The firefighters will fight with water to cool everything in the surrounding areas. You're probably talking, if this thing really goes up, you could put 2 million gallons of water that you're going to take off of the nearest hydrant down on Meadow Park Road, because not enough tankers are going to get up that hill. And if you've got this in the middle of a snowstorm in January at 2 o'clock in the morning, by the time you plow the snow, this fire is just going to keep going and going. So we talk about the water that's going to run off. It's going to get into the soils. We have our wells up there. My wife talked about the nightmare that went on right across from us on Meadow Park. You're all aware of that with the dry cleaning fluid. Well, I'm a little bit sensitive to drinking contaminated water. See, 1970, I joined the United States Marine Corps. I'm proud of it. And when we went down to Camp Lejeune, In Camp Lejeune, I had the occurrence to be drinking that same water. Thank God I've had no issues with it. One of my boot camp buddies that I enlisted with, he died last November from Lou Gehrig's disease, directly attributed to that contaminated water. So I am exceptionally sensitive to drinking contaminated water. We don't have to. You don't like to, you never want to taste that metal, and that's what comes out in contaminated water. We talked about where the contaminated water will flow. On the west side, it's going to go down along 118, down to Lake Shenrock, into the Amwalk. On the east side, it's going to go down through Silvergate, past Center Avenue. It's going to go into the Plum Brook, past Lincoln Hall, and then it's going into the Muscoat Reservoir. Both New York City drinking water supplies. Now, I don't know how they would even get involved with this thing and say, yeah, it's a go. They would have to say no. But stranger things have happened. And probably lastly, I'd like to say, you know, when I bought this property back in 1980, and I built my house 82 into 83, the original owners that were back there, when I did my due diligence, was Mitch Miller. He built Greenbrier and Somers on Miller Drive up there. Mitch Miller, sing along with Mitch, you all know him. Anyway, when I did my due diligence, he said that would be housing, condos, possibly office buildings. Something changed because he sold it to Ginsburg. Ginsburg sold it to the present owners. I don't know what happened in between from what I had heard 40 years ago to what has gone on today. And I suppose I should go back into the zoning board and find out where this may have changed from what he told me. And then lastly, I got to wonder, what were these owners of this, the present owners of this property thinking when they went and got involved with this? You got 90 acres of land back there. 45 of them are soaking wet, delineated wetlands by the DEC, DEP. And they came along, they decided, well, because they made a bad investment, they're going to capitalize on it. And we're the ones that are going to suffer. As everybody before me has said, who's going to pay when this thing goes off? You know, who's going to indemnify us for the toxic gases, the water contamination, anybody that gets sick, anybody has sickness, illnesses in the future? And we know when they said the air was good to breathe down in the World Trade Center, we could see what happened with that. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it Panos, Christine?
Hello. I am here today to urge that the moratorium be passed and that the time be used to pass a comprehensive plan to limit the placement of battery storage systems of any size from near residential homes, schools, and businesses. Additionally, that the comprehensive plan will apply to both pending and any future siting of such facilities. The risk of fire is too great, as shown by the much smaller facilities that had fire in New York last summer, as well as the industrial-sized battery storage facility in Otay Mesa, California, that had experienced a 2-week fire in May of 2024. As Senator Matera stated on February 7, 2004, these experimental facilities are not only dangerous, but are costly to the ratepayers, with an expectation of utility bills rising 30 to 40%. As elected officials, it is your job to protect the community from development that could harm your citizens, and it is critical not only that you pass a moratorium, but that you pass a comprehensive plan that will not allow any lithium-ion battery storage facilities in this community.
Dawn Baker?
Hi, Dawn Baker. I just want to say I live at 7 Lounsbury, and if this goes through, it's going to be right in my backyard. I just want to say I oppose it, and I hope that you adopt the moratorium.
Thank you. Deb Kilner? Yep, you.
Hey guys, thank you to those of you who voted yes this evening. Deb Kilmer from 156 Crane Road. Mahopac, the place I've called home for the last 46 years and never planned on leaving, suddenly feels like an unsafe, shady, questionable place to live, to say the least. Imagine meeting together this evening to talk about doing something special with this property in question. Why don't they create a small home community for our forgotten veterans? That sounds like a good idea.
Deb, excuse me.
Yes.
Keep to the moratorium, please.
I gotcha. Okay, thank you. In the past 2 weeks, something special happened in the halls of Somers Middle School where I teach. The evidence of the work we have all done is spreading. And in the hall, it felt like all 200 eighth graders were chanting my name, begging to interview me about the lithium battery farm. I've never been so eager to participate in so many interviews. Students were asked to interview educators who reside in Mahopac or Somers regarding this plan. Their science teacher had a personal experience after his son was affected by a tiny lithium battery farm fire in Warwick not long ago. The fire started only a few days after the farm was built. When I saw the size of this farm, it was absolutely nothing in comparison to the massive complex we are talking about. The ramifications from this fire in Warwick was huge though, at only 8 units small. The smoke from the fire led to the districts evacuating and closing off the offices and schools. That's only part of the consequences. While reflecting on all the greatness that happened when students learned so much from this experience, I can't help but to think how completely unnecessary it was. We should not be here tonight asking to put an end to this lithium battery complex set to be built in our neighborhood. Why are we here tonight? I would love to be granted the opportunity to look into the soul of any human who approves this project and thinks it's a great idea and ask how they sleep at night. Please understand how frustrating this is for us to have to come together like this to ask you to please not allow a lithium battery farm in our community. This is not the Mahopac I grew up in and loved, and it's up to you to help stop the horrendous idea of a lithium battery farm. Please put an end to this madness tonight. It is not okay, and I ask that you protect the community and the members of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathleen from Eleanor Drive. Oh, Mackenzie.
Hello.
Oh, that was easy.
My name is Kathleen McKenzie. I live on 160 Eleanor Drive. I'm a lifelong resident of Mahopac. My mother is a resident of Baldwin Place, formerly Mahopac. I am opposed to any size of this BEST plan for all the reasons stated here tonight. This dangerous thing, yes, I call it a thing, is not tested, and there's only a dearth of research about this new technology. I believe this is a money and power grab from a predatory foreign oil and gas company, the state of New York, and landowners at the expense of our health, safety, and well-being. I'm concerned about the town, our town, being transparent. The town of Carmel must be completely transparent with us, the public, with this moratorium and all aspects of this proposed project. No more surprises. We must work together. I request the town of Carmel create a task force of stakeholders, which would also include representation from the people that would live next to this impending doom from Mahopac and Somers, and including the supervisor of Somers, Robert Sarcano. I'm a registered nurse, almost 35 years now. I'd like to read you an article from the Coast News about a town called Escondido in California, which is fighting a BEST in their community. I want this on record because I believe this will be a public health crisis, a nightmare, and I would like all our local health departments and hospitals to weigh in on this moratorium, like Palomar Health has. Palomar Health denies easement for Seguro Battery Storage Project. Escondido. The Palomar Health Administration recently denied a property easement that would have allowed a proposed battery storage facility to connect to an Escondido substation via hospital grounds. Palomar Medical Center in Escondido is approximately 1,600 feet from 925 Country Club Drive, a 22-acre former horse ranch in the Eden Valley community where the proposed Seguro Energy Project would be located if approved by the county. The 320 megawatt facility would store enough energy from renewable sources like solar and wind to power 240,000 homes for just 4 hours. According to AES Corporation, the energy company proposing to build and operate Seguro, the facility would connect to the local power grid through a new on-site substation connecting to the nearby 30,000 kilowatt SDG&E Escondido substation through an underground transmission line. Residents of the Eden Valley, Harmony Grove, and Elfin Forest communities are widely opposed to the project due to its proximity to hundreds of residential homes. Some fear that the lithium-ion batteries could start a fire and cause disruptive noise, air pollution, and other environmental problems. Jeff Griffith, chairman of the elected Palomar Health Board of Directors, applauded CEO Diane Hansen and her staff's decision to deny the easement. Griffith, who spent 33 years as a firefighter, said he has been against the project from its beginning due to his experience and concerns regarding how it would impact public safety. According to Griffith, AES even offered compensation for the easement. They really looked forward toward us to grant that easement, Griffith said. For me, the safety of the community is more important than anything financial. Griffith said in a statement that the Palomar Health Administration's decision to deny the easement stems from anxieties over the risk of a hazardous materials incident occurring on the project site that would impact the nearby hospital operations. Griffith and residents, long opposed to the Seguro facility, have cited the recent Otay Mesa lithium-ion battery storage fire that burned for nearly 2 weeks in May. We recently heard about this. As a healthcare facility, we have only 2 options in a scenario like that: either evacuation or shelter in place. Griffith said, neither really works for us. And then J.P. Theberg, chair of the Harmony Grove Elfin Forest Town Council, an opponent of the Seguro project, was pleased with Palomar Health's decision, citing the Otay Mesa fire as an example of what would happen in a residential community close to the hospital. The community watched in horror as the Otay Mesa lithium-ion battery fire burned for weeks. The prospect of a facility that would be 5 times larger squeezed into a single-family home neighborhood surrounded by homes and 1,600 feet from a hospital is unfathomable. We are encouraged that the hospital has seen the facility for the threat that it poses to the public health, hospital operations, and the well-being of Escondido and unincorporated county residents. And I'm just going to fast forward through this, but AES is continuing to evaluate all viable options for development of the Seguro project, including a transmission line easement through Palomar Hospital property. We are eager to continue our efforts to work with community members and stakeholders as we advance the design and permitting for this important project, which will contribute to the decarbonization goals of the County of San Diego and State of California, while bringing additional benefits to the community. So this is the type of leadership we need in our community. And so I hope you will involve our local hospitals, Putnam, Northern Westchester, to weigh in on this moratorium, okay? And our public health department.
Thank you. Paul Cirillo. Paul Cirillo.
Paul Cirillo, 22 Chambers Drive in Baldwin Place. I am your neighbor. As elected Carmel Town Board officials, you have the ethical and fiduciary responsibility to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community. All decisions must put community safety and environmental stewardship as priority number one. This includes decisions impacting neighboring communities. A good neighbor does no harm. The proposed battery energy storage system at 24 Miller Road by East Point Energy is not suitable for this location, as it sits in the middle of a residential community, retail business district, and ecologically sensitive tributary to water supply reservoirs. This proposed BESS plant is a colossal industrial facility that has no place in this community. It is unsafe and unsuitable in any configuration imaginable. Your decision process cannot be swayed by the profit-seeking agenda of the energy companies. Their interests are to maximize shareholder value and at odds with our goal of keeping our citizens safe from potential catastrophic lithium fires. The resulting air and water pollution from a lithium fire will contaminate our homes with toxic particulates, contaminate our local water wells, and potentially drain into the Mahopac Reservoir, where millions of New Yorkers rely on clean drinking water. I ask you to consider the following 12 points when assessing the suitability of this proposed BESS project. 1, can you guarantee that a BESS fire will not release toxic lithium particulates that will contaminate the air and local water wells in Carmel, Mahopac, Baldwin Place, and Shunnerock? 2, can you guarantee that a BESS container fire will not burn for days, resulting in a shelter-in-place situation? 3, can you guarantee during a BESS fire that the water used to cool the surrounding BESS containers will not result in toxic lithium runoff into the ecologically sensitive streams that flow from this property into the preserve at Somers, then into Lake Shunnerock, and eventually into the Mahopac Reservoir, just 2.5 miles downstream? 4, can you guarantee that when a BESS fire occurs, that it will not be raining, resulting in the worst-case scenario of pouring water on a lithium fire? 5, can you guarantee that the property values of homes surrounding this proposed BESS plant will not be significantly depreciated upon approval of this plant? Now imagine the property values after a catastrophic fire event. 6, can you guarantee that the long-term health of residents subjected to the release of toxic lithium particulates will not develop respiratory illnesses, including lung cancer? 7, can you guarantee that the noise and heat pollution or low-frequency humming from dozens of HVAC units and other electric grid systems will not negatively impact the residents living within earshot of this facility? 8, can you guarantee that the BESS is network secure, that it will not be compromised by a cyber attack? 9, can you guarantee that a BESS is a physically hardened site and will not be a target of random recklessness or worse, a premeditated terrorist attack? 10, can you guarantee that after a catastrophic BESS fire, that surrounding communities, residents will be compensated for the loss of property value, loss of clean air and water, and the long-term mental and emotional stress? 11, can you guarantee the safety of our volunteer first responders responding to the BESS fire? 12, can you guarantee that East Point Energy will be there in our time of need to clean up the contamination, compensate us for our losses, and make things right? I appeal to your good judgment and common sense with the high hopes that you will defend the safety and common interests of all impacted communities and reject this battery energy storage system before it is too late. I am your neighbor. I plead with you to love thy neighbor as ourselves and do no harm. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, God.
My name is, I know. Okay. Well, I gotta get to my computer. My name is Maria D. Simone, 21 Center Road, Mahopac. I know most of yous know me. I know that seemed a little drastic, but understand. I happen to own those. That's 9/11. Let me read my statement. Oh, I will talk in the microphone. Let me just pull it up. Oh, wait. It's short, so I won't be taking 5 minutes. Okay. I came here today proudly wearing my 9/11 gear. I do not know what it's going to take for this committee to realize that this is what we're facing again. Should a fire or an explosion happen, I personally do not want to live through that again. I don't think my neighbors want that either. There are a few questions that I want to ask this committee. Are you going to provide this gear to every family member in Mahopac? And not the paper masks that are given out. What I find amazing is that no one ever heard of this, and then all of a sudden it's going up all over the world, especially the U.S., catching fires. Is this to kill off the American people? Is this what this is all about? Because if it is, then you're part of it. You will have American blood on your hands. And let's not forget our animals, dogs, cats, rabbits, chickens. They are our family and part of our family. So there are a few questions. One, who is going to pay for our property damage? I'm not going to repeat everything everybody said here. I agree with them. Who's going to pay for our property damage? Because I know our insurance company is not going to pay. And if I understand Lauren, she's the last house on Center. And each house on our side of the street is 100 feet. I think there's like 9 houses, so I'm about 900 feet from all of this. And our house would be a mandatory evacuation from what I understand. I think it ends on Facet. But, you know, again, enough. I didn't hear about this. At one time and I'm going off it, at one time this town, you would get a letter if you wanted to do something within 100 feet, a couple of blocks, you have to notify people. Well, I never got notified that this was going on. I found out about it about 2 months ago, the first night I spoke here. I don't know. I wouldn't want this blood on my hands. But it has to stop. And
Thank you.
I
Oscar Falcone.
Hello. Can you hear me? Great. Yes, Oscar Falcone, I live in 81 Bloomer Road, Mahopac. I'm an environmental scientist, and I currently have my 40-hour HAZWOPER, which is Hazardous Waste Operations and Emergency Response Certification. Now, when it comes to this plant, it is using poker terminology. It is a full house of hazards. I mean, we have fire, explosion, air contamination, water contamination, and then the one most people don't mention is the mental stress we're all dealing with, even just talking about this. Now, for 25 years, I've dealt with recognizing and mitigating hazards. Now, a proper administrative control would be this moratorium, just like 3 towns out in Long Island have done back in April. Great. Proper engineering control is distance. Something like this should be nowhere near any form of human habitation due to all the risks involved. Now, I'm just going to keep this short. I just really asked you guys to vote with your head, your heart, and your soul on this matter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Dominic Vanessa. Right?
Dominic Venetia?
Venetia.
Dominique.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dominic.
That's okay. Good evening. My name is Dominique Venezia of Mahopac, New York. I specifically live within the 5-mile radius of this proposed monstrosity. I am 100% wholeheartedly opposed to this lithium battery storage facility being built on Miller Road. The possible installation and operation of this BESS system is a cataclysmic danger to society. I don't want to seem dramatic, but I would even venture to categorize it as crimes against humanity. Crimes against humanity can be defined as specific crimes that are committed as part of a large-scale attack on civilians. These crimes are often associated with government policy and organized planning. As we have learned, this organized planning derives from the highest levels of state with specific green initiatives and trickles down to the leaders of the Senate and lastly has fell on the lap of the board. Governor Hochul has announced a new framework from the state to achieve a nation-leading 6 gigawatts of energy storage by 2030. Furthermore, the goal is to generate 70% of the state's electricity from renewables by 2030. This is without a doubt planned. The energy company that is attempting to lease the property on Miller Road is East Point Energy, which is owned predominantly, 67% of the company, by Equinor. Equinor is under the management of the country Norway. Why should foreign powers, countries control our land and the use of it? Another possible insidious scenario to consider is that of cyber and terrorist attacks. BESS systems are quite new, untested, and the harmful effects for the civilian population are unstudied. We cannot, and I refuse to take the simple words of reassurance from the energy company that stands to make a hefty profit, and the government, who does not have the best track record. Unfortunately, some of us have been down this road before. Christy Whitman, who was the head of the Environmental Protection Agency under George W. Bush at the time of 9/11, told the public the air around Ground Zero was safe to breathe. There have been countless victims that continue to suffer from respiratory diseases and others that have died due to cancer related to their exposure to toxins. Have we not learned? These lithium battery storage facilities are untested and, as we have seen from numerous incidences, are extremely volatile. There is the phenomenon of thermal runaway associated with the system, which is, in short, when the lithium-ion cell enters an uncontrollable self-heating state, it causes a chain reaction. The other lithium-ion cells then will overheat as well. This will result in the ejection of toxic gas such as hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen methane, ethylene, and carbon monoxide. The magnitude of this proposed 116 megawatt lithium battery storage facility is almost unheard of, especially in a residential area. In summation, this circumstance that stands before us and its management by the Carmel Town Board members and the Planning Board members will be showcased on the state and national levels. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah O'Shea.
Good evening, Supervisor Cazzari and members of the Town Board. My name is Sarah O'Shea of the law firm of Gettinger, Waldinger, Monteleone, Gashue, and Hollis. And I'm here on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Preserve at Somers Homeowners Association. It is an association consisting of 188 homes in Somers adjacent to Lounsbury Drive and just south of the border of the town of Carmel. We are here to support the proposed moratorium on battery energy storage system land use applications and approvals, and hopefully the revision of the town zoning code and comprehensive plan. Moratoria are an appropriate interim measure to temporarily halt development and land use approvals whilst towns consider updates to their master plans and comprehensive changes to their zoning ordinances to address risks associated with new uses. This is especially appropriate here, given the risks associated with battery farms and the need to review and revise your town code to mitigate those risks. As this town board is aware, there were 3 fires in the summer of 2023 in New York State alone. Those were all smaller energy storage system fires of 5 megawatts, 20 megawatts, and 12 megawatts. To address firefighters' safety concerns when responding to battery farm fires, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, awarded a research grant to the University of Texas at Austin. Researchers found that fire services were unaware of or inexperienced with battery energy storage system fires and explosion hazards, and that the commercial entities owning the battery systems were equally unfamiliar with potential fire hazards. There were also many questions regarding the toxicity of battery vent gases. The state is reviewing its own codes and regulations, and this town should too. As this town is aware, again, Governor Hochul has organized the Interagency Fire Safety Working Group to study the impacts and causes of those 2023 fires, to examine battery facilities generally, to examine the safety standards, and to recommend how to revise the New York State Fire Code and address battery energy storage systems and generate a final report of its findings. So far, it's published 15 draft recommendations, which are subject to further public comment and review. It has also not published its final report. Thus far, the working group has found that the provisions of the fire code exclude, quote, non-enterable battery energy storage system cabinets, which matches the description of the battery trailers proposed before the planning board of this town. It's also highlighted the need for peer review to assist permitting agencies, such as the planning board, to ensure proper oversight and compliance, increased monitoring requirements, training requirements for local emergency responders, and consideration of water supply requirements. This town should adopt this moratorium and consider extending it pending the publication of the working group's final recommendations and final reports. Given the risks to general welfare, this town should take the opportunity to pause any and all applications for battery energy storage systems and consider how it may implement long-term planning to protect its residents and its neighbors in Somers. Thank you.
Thank you. Tara Ferdico? Tara?
Hi there, my name is Tara Ferdico. I live at 45 Silvergate Road. My home is very visible on the site plan for the, my home is very visible on the site plan for the battery storage facility. A few weeks ago, my husband and I, and I'm choking up because I'm so sad about it, we put our house on the market because we felt we had no choice. We felt that we were going to be stuck in a place that we love, that we've lived in for 20 years. I'm a Yorktown High School graduate. My husband is a Somers graduate, and we met in Roxanne's, if anybody here knows what that is. So that's how long we've been in this community. And it makes me really sad and upset to see that our town doesn't care. They don't care. I'm worried for the craziest things. Who am I selling my house to? My home. What am I giving them by doing this? They get to inherit what we've created. And that really sucks. That sucks for all of us. It sucks for every single one of you, and it sucks for all of us. It makes me very upset that all of this is happening, as you can tell. I'm also worried about who's going to feed my squirrels and my next-door neighbor's dog that wants their cookie tax every day. These are the things that we talk about. This is our community. I'm so grateful that I got to meet so many wonderful people just the past few months. I can't thank you guys enough. I really can't. They're amazing. And the fact that this board is going to sit here and even consider this is crazy to me. So please, put in the moratorium, do what's right. Make sure that our town stays the way that it is. in some aspects. Progress is good, it's great for everybody, but maybe not in this aspect. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela Lucia.
Hi, guys. How you doing? I'm Angela Lucia. I live on 9 Center Road. Me and my husband have 4 teenagers, 2 dogs, and we are in the evacuation hold-in-place area. So I am just here to say that the Lucia family is against the lithium battery facility on Miller Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Alicia Briley. It's okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Briley. I am the Town of Carmel historian and the president of the Town of Carmel Historical Society. I'm specifically not here to talk about history tonight. I'm here to speak on the behalf of myself being an educator and not the roles I listed previously. So I work just right down the line where we rehabilitate wildlife. That goes for hawks, owls, etc., and they are outside in their enclosures. Prime example, when the wildfires happened and they came from Canada, the smoke affected our wildlife. Everything affects our wildlife, whether we realize it or not. Prime example, if this lithium battery farm were to go through, it is very hazardous to the BOCES campus where we have these animals. Also, I would like to mention that my family's been here for hundreds and hundreds of years prior to the Revolutionary War. My family has seen this town change in a good way and in a negative way, and we look at this as a negative way. It also hinders a lot of school districts in this area, and I really hope that you all oppose the lithium battery farm, as well as have this moratorium for at least 12 months or more. We need to really look at this closely and look at all things that go into this and how it first started to now. And I'm very proud of the community that came out and spoke against it. And those who are for it, I really want you to take a look at how you're affecting the future 7 generations to come. And that means our kids, our grandkids, our great-grandkids, all the way down the line. This is not a good idea. And I just want to speak on the behalf of my family, the Cole family, COLE, who has been in this town for forever, also oppose this. And we really also need to pay attention how we used to have clean air in Putnam County. Putnam County used to be known as one of the best counties with clean air. Now this goes for any new development with the cutting down trees. We see them that they're supposed to replace the trees and half the time they never do. So we need to really look at cutting down the trees. I'm speaking from an environmental science teacher perspective. Now, usually you would probably think I was for this, but I'm not, because this negatively impacts our environment. And also, if you think where the lithium batteries come from originally, the mines create toxic chemicals and heavy metals for our water supply. So say if we were to set on fire, same thing that happened in Warwick, it affected the schools. The schools had to close down, I think, for over a week or 2. It's just really not a good idea. And I hope you took everyone's feedback from tonight and really listened with a heart to heart, because it's important to have these conversations. And I want people to also know that it's not really necessarily the town's fault, the town board's fault. It's really the planning board, who are a group of volunteers that you really need to look at, because they make most of these decisions, but have to check with the supervisors. So to note that if you're really involved and want to see the town change for the better and not have the lithium battery farm, then maybe volunteer on the planning board so that your voices are more heard and that the decisions can help for the future 7 generations to come. That's all that I have for tonight. I want to thank everyone who spoke tonight, and thank you.
Thank you. Gina Lindsay? Gina Lindsay?
Hi, I'm Gina Lindsay, and I live in Mahopac. I don't really have anything prepared, but I learned so much tonight from everybody. I feel I am in a community right now, and I'm sure you feel it too. Okay, I feel you feel it too. I don't have any faith in our government or big business. I think they're very shady and sneaky, and they're not for the community. And I really hope, I pray, you have the power to end this, to moratorium or whatever it is, but just end it. It's really not good for this community. Thank you, and I really pray for you.
Thank you. Linda Horton? Linda Horton? Oh, Linda Horton?
Yeah.
Oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah.
That's fine.
Yes. You're always good to speak. Go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tony Puello. My wife and I are going on 39 years in Mahopac here. I do not agree with this battery lithium plant. However, I want the board to think about this. If this goes through, the property values are going to go down. The library budget just passed. How are you going to fund that? How are you going to fund all the budgets without the assessed value of the homeowners? What is about 30,000 people, 30,000 homes in Mahopac, thereabouts?
14,000.
14,000?
11,000 homes, 14,000 including commercial.
14,000 homes. So they have been assessed, so now take that and cut it by 3/4 because the assessed value of those homes are going to go down. All right? You're not going to be able to have a school budget, a library budget, or any other kind of budget. Thank you.
Thank you. George Bees? Bogue? Maybe that's a G. B-O-O-G?
Yeah. B-O-S?
Boss? Is there a George? How about James Roach? Oh, I missed Grace, sorry. Grace DeFeo, or DeFeo. Alice.
Hi, good evening. My name is Grace DeFeo. I'm from the Preserve in Somers, and I'm in the evacuation zone. I know you're saying not to be repetitive, but we've sat here many weeks, and sorry, I don't have anything really well prepared, but here are my thoughts. So here we go. Week after week at the Somers Town Board meetings, at the Carmel Town Board meetings, at the Carmel Planning Board meetings, week after week, we've heard frustrations. You've heard frustrations. You've heard frustrations, and common sense, just how can this happen? Of concerns about health quality, air quality, water quality, everything down the line. I don't support this proposal. I urge you to vote it down or to reject it. And I also ask you to urge you to vote for the moratorium. 6 months is not enough time. I ask you to extend that and to work diligently to making sure, like the attorney said, all the specifics are there in this short amount of time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was the last, yeah, James Roach. I said James Roach.
Someone just signed up the last name. So Lisa. Lisa, she just signed up.
Oh, Lisa Sorelli?
Yeah, that's Lisa.
Oh, Lisa Sorelli. I didn't see her.
Hello.
My name is Lisa Cercelli. I'm actually a new resident of Somers. I just moved into the preserves about 8 months ago with my husband. We just hit our 1-year anniversary. And in one of the worst housing markets ever, we found the most perfect home. Turns out it's about a mile away from this facility location, which is horrendous. We moved here with the intention of staying forever. This is going to be our forever home. I'm 6 months pregnant,
Congratulations.
which is, thank you, very exciting. So I'm here to speak on behalf of my family and my child, for the health of my community and the health of my neighbors, the health of my environment, and the future prosperity of the town that I reside in. And I urge you to listen to all the amazing things that have been said in this room tonight. I know it's late, it's past my bedtime, I'm sure it's past some people's bedtime as well. And I'm really proud of the turnout and proud of everybody working tirelessly in the community to advocate for this moratorium and to advocate against this battery energy storage plant. And I hope you do the right things tonight and vote for the moratorium. Extend it another 6 months if you can, because it's what's right for the community and it's what's right for the future of this area and New York broadly. So thank you.
Good luck with the baby. All right, so they didn't sign up.
Divine, did you want to speak for this public hearing or this second public hearing? Divine Miller? Okay, okay. Because we had her down for the second
Anyone else
public
wanna
hearing.
speak?
She signed. Okay, thank you.
So that's everyone that signed.
Yes, there's a public hearing
well-
1 and a public hearing 2. So the public hearing 1 is now on the,
Does anyone else want to
Yes.
speak on public hearing number 1?
Go.
So, everyone.
oh, that's okay.
Come up and sign this one here, and
That's okay. So Mike, do you want to get up?
No, let my wife go first. I'm John.
Yeah. And just finish it up.
yeah, I think people got confused.
Okay.
Okay, we have,
Yes, Agnes Nowak, Austin Road. I would first like to thank the board for listening to Mahopac residents, hearing our needs, and considering this moratorium, as majority of us, including myself, oppose this project in a residential area close to our homes, our schools, and our children's backyards. As a survivor of Chernobyl nuclear plant explosion, even though as a child, I felt the first-hand effects of this explosion. I actually lost 2 family members to brain cancer that was caused by this nuclear explosion, and have some family members whom even today are experiencing major health issues because of this explosion. Unfortunately, the lithium farm facility explosion would put Chernobyl into shame, which is very alarming. There are actually many other teachable historical moments from Chernobyl's explosion, as well as from the overall history of my native Poland. When Hitler invaded Poland in 1939, the world and many bystanders watched and did not act. Today, the world is watching this public hearing
and I am asking that this board righteously act and consider 1-year moratorium rather than a 6-month, so that responsible and thoughtful code and zoning changes can be put into place to safeguard the residents. Please do not be bystanders and turn your heads the other way. Please do not allow outsiders to dictate what's good and safe for our community based solely on profit and a loophole created by the government. Our lives and the lives of our children, parents, grandparents, and neighbors matter. We deserve to live in a safe and healthy environment and not invisible and are actually more than a vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Michael?
Hi, good evening, members of the board. I'm Michael Nowak, Austin Road. And I appreciate the opportunity of the board looking into moratorium. I am a New York State code enforcement officer. I am a certified arborist. I am a DEC stormwater pollution prevention certified inspector. And I implore the board to look into a 1-year moratorium. The New York State building codes are minimums. I enforce and I have designed heating, plumbing, air conditioning systems based on those codes, and they are minimums, okay? They require fresh air ventilation to meet New York State's energy requirements. They require new buildings to be airtight with no leakage, and as a result, you have to pull in outside air, okay? In the event of a fire, these units have been documented to off-gas hydrogen cyanide and other gases, okay? New York State has done air testing and sampling and has stated that there are no negative impacts. We've seen history, September 11. We've seen other things. Did anybody take a sample up in the sky? I doubt it. Those air samples were probably taken on the ground. I will repeat history. As my wife had stated years ago, Chernobyl, okay? I'm gonna state the Belzec, Auschwitz, Birkenau, Treblinka, okay? Chelmo, other concentration camps that have something in common with BESS. Hydrogen cyanide. Hydrogen cyanide was one of the main ingredients used to kill the Jews, okay? It is extremely water soluble, absorbs through the skin very easily. I don't care about the fire department. Mother Nature doesn't stop. It's gonna happen when it's gonna happen. We've had the wettest year on record. Doesn't matter, guys. Do the right thing. I implore the board to set up an emergency services task force to pull all interested emergency services parties together. I do not believe they're communicating properly, and they should be pulled into a room together. I also implore that the board consider changes within the comprehensive plan to make yourselves the lead agency on such a project. This should not be approved through a volunteer board. I'm sorry. You guys all do a great job. However, I disagree with that. You are the policymakers as the town board. You should be lead agency on this type of a project. I submitted a memo weeks ago asking for changes to the notification code, and I ask that you all look at that as part of your comprehensive plan. I submitted a handful of other municipalities that have requirements, which I believe are current and would make your lives a lot easier, okay? Not telling you guys what to do, but you hear it from the people. We're all on the same team. We live here, we spend time here, we love the community, okay? History, forever chemicals, PFAS, PCBs, they were awesome chemicals. Put out fires with foam. Great job. 10 years later, guess what? It don't go away. It stays in your drinking water. We don't need that here, guys. We're all on drinking wells. We already have PFAS issues. The county airport has PFAS issues. With regards to cybersecurity, I'm sorry. Infrastructure worldwide across this country has been compromised by hackers. There have been notable hacks in the local vicinity, okay? Within 30 miles of here, infrastructure has been hacked. Do not tell me this will not happen here. It will. We're smart. Equinor is smart. There's someone smarter out there, okay? And I'm not putting anybody down. Let's face it. I'm good, but there's someone better probably out there, okay? Finally, I did not request for a private company to control the power grid. The biggest blackout on record went down for one tree branch touching a high transmission line. This system is not going to supply power here when those power lines are down in a storm, okay? And I please ask you, look into that. This will facilitate over 90,000 houses, not 11,000. That power is not going to stay here, guys. Please do your due diligence, and I ask that you consider a 12-month moratorium just because, and I'm almost done, I apologize, just because the codes are changing so rapidly and NYSERDA's recommendations are not yet solidified, and I think you guys need some time to do your homework and come up with something that'll be acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you. Angie, good. Didn't make me butcher it.
Good evening, Town Supervisor, Cazzari, and fellow board members. My name is Angie Bonilla, and I am a resident of Austin Road in Mahopac. I come before you this evening to address a matter of great concern to our community, the proposed lithium battery storage facility in Mahopac, Somers. I question, have any of you considered the potential environmental and safety concerns of this facility? This issue is very concerning to us, your constituents, and it is crucial for you to understand the implications this facility could have on our community. The thought of having this lithium battery storage facility in our town brings significant stress and anxiety. As you can see, the potential economic impact alone are alarming. Property values could plummet, affecting our community finance stability and growth. Who would want to live or work in our beautiful town if we were threatened by the risk associated with such facility? Moreover, the safety concerns are profound. If a fire were to occur, firefighters cannot use water to extinguish it. The fire would need to burn itself out, releasing toxic gases that could spread for miles, posing a deadly threat to anyone in the vicinity. Those gases cannot be contained and can have catastrophic health implications. The environmental impact also cannot be ignored. Lithium extraction and disposal have been linked to soil and water contamination, which could harm local wildlife and disrupt the natural beauty and ecological balance of our area. We must consider the long-term environmental sustainability to our town. I respectfully request a year moratorium on this project. I urge you to halt any further procedures and for planning board, building board, zoning board, environmental experts to thoroughly review the potential implication this facility could have on Mahopac, Somers, and our neighboring towns. We need to conduct a comprehensive environmental impact assessment and safety studies to ensure that every possible risk is understood and mitigated. Community forums and discussions should be held together. Input from residents allowing us to voice our concerns and contribute to the decision-making process. Our town has always prided itself on being close-knit, safe, and welcoming community. The introduction of lithium battery storage facility threatens the very essence of what makes Mahopac a desirable place to live. We cannot afford to jeopardize our health, safety, and quality of life for a project that brings more risk than benefits. We ask that you understand our love for our town and our desire to preserve its natural environment without the threat of lithium battery storage facility, jeopardizing our peace and safety. We trust that you, as our elected representatives, will act in the best interest of our constituents and protect the future of Mahopac by now allowing this project to proceed. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Carrie Reardon.
Good evening. We are here in unity as a community to
Closer to
demand-
the microphone, I think. I don't think they can hear you.
I'm sorry?
Go closer to the mic. They can't hear you.
Good evening. We are here in unity as a community to demand no BESS, no battery energy storage system, no battery farm, and no to existing and proposed future BESS lithium-ion battery storage farms or facilities. You all must reject this proposal and prioritize our safety and well-being and not line the pockets of the cash cows. We will not be deterred. We will not stop fighting. We will continue this crusade, and we demand justice in our favor with this moratorium. We will no longer tolerate a system that rewards favors, policy, corruption, or exploitation that prioritizes the interests of wealthy investors over the safety, concern, and health, livelihood, and well-being of this community or surrounding communities. We will no longer accept status quo, and we certainly will not accept statements that pertain to persuading any board members or constituents, and we will not allow fear of being sued to be a factor. You all must act accordingly, responsibly, and proactively to ensure our safety, not as temporarily, but indefinitely. We demand a permanent moratorium. It is your due diligence to resolve this issue at hand to benefit public safety over these privileged cash cow energy companies. We demand the indentured state of servitude, obligation, or favor to any one landowner, their family, town employment, regardless of personal relationship or investment. Being indentured is not only a risk and liability, it is also unethical. It is time to remember that you work for us, and it is your duty and responsibility to serve us, and not that of big donors, sponsorships, special interests, or your own political ambitions. We are in this situation fighting for our lives, and the blame was placed everywhere but where it belongs. In this town, and antiquated policies that were slept on, what was going on and happening, and there was no accountability. How did Putt Valley have a moratorium on these very same issues in 2020, whereas we are just walking up to this and having to now backpedal? We demand that you all make sure the proposed battery energy storage system, BESS facility, 24 Miller Road, Mahopac, New York, does not become a reality of basically a TNT explosion that at 116 megawatts would be equivalent to a very large military bomb, a small nuclear weapon like the Davy Crockett warhead, or the very tragic 9/11 attacks, which was estimated to be 5.6 gigawatts. What we are talking about here at 116 megawatts, that would equal 5 to 6 nuclear power plants, and with Putnam County being a designated forest fire zone, 5.4.10, Putnam County, New York, HMP.com, our fire danger rating area, risk assessment, wildfire hazard. Then there is section 91107, Fire Towns, New York, public.law, title 11 Forest Fire Control. Environmental Conservation Law, Section 91123, Northeastern Forest Fire Protection Article, including and not limited to all 8 articles and sub-articles. New York.public.laws, New York. Environmental Conservation Law, original source 91107, Fire Towns, New York Senate. Government legislation laws. Not having a permanent moratorium will prove to be catastrophic, as these facilities pose a significant threat to our health, safety, environment, wetlands, New York City watersheds, our land, towns, forests, commercial, residential areas, community archaeological site, publicly accessible federal, state, and local scenic routes, trailways, infrastructure, etc., to name a few areas of concern. Not to mention weather, particularly heat waves or rainfall. We all may recall the instance of significant rainfall and flooding which occurred with more than 8 inches of rain within a 24-hour period, July 2023. Mahopac, New York is also located in a flood zone. Information can be found at a FEMA flood map service or Westchester County Planning Department web service. It is time to remember that you work for us. We the people demand you all put our needs and safety above the cash cow need to be green energy companies, current potential future owners, and we demand change and action, not empty promises. You must be accountable. We will hold you accountable, and we will remember the current circumstances and their results come time for re-election. We demand you act as a shield and not a sword for the cash cows and Borellis. Thank you. And I have the law.
Thank you.
You want to hand that in?
Veronica Angelina?
Archula.
Oh, Archula.
She needs your name.
Argilla.
Put your name on it, please. Thank you.
And this is the actual moratorium.
Okay, just you put your name on everything, I'll submit everything into the record for today.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address such an important issue affecting our beloved Mahopac community. Whew. Like many of you, I was drawn to Mahopac for its serene lake community and pristine natural surroundings, a place where my family and I could enjoy a peaceful and healthy environment. Today, however, we face a proposal that threatens to undermine everything we cherish about Mahopac. The plan to construct a lithium battery plant in our backyard not only jeopardizes our health and safety, but also jeopardizes the very essence of what makes Mahopac special to so many of us. This proposed plant is slated to be built on wetlands and forests, ecosystems crucial for maintaining water quality and supporting our local wildlife. Wetlands plays a vital role in filtering pollutants from water and regulating water flow, protecting our lakes and streams from contamination. The construction of a lithium battery plant in such a sensitive area could lead to the destruction of these natural buffers, potentially causing water contamination and disrupting the delicate balance of our local environment. The manufacturing process of lithium batteries involves the use of chemicals and metals that, if mishandled or leaked, can seep into the soil and waterways. This poses a direct threat to our drinking water sources and could harm aquatic life, endangering the sustainability of our natural resources. Additionally, one of the most alarming risks associated with lithium battery plants is the potential for fires. These facilities are known for their high risk of battery fires, which can release toxic fumes and substances harmful to human health. Imagine the fear of living near a facility that could potentially erupt in flames, putting our families and properties at risk. The consequences of such a fire could be devastating, impacting our safety and long-term health due to exposure to hazardous chemicals. Furthermore, firefighting efforts at lithium battery fires are increasingly challenging and may require specialized equipment and techniques. This could strain our local emergency services and divert resources from other critical needs within our community. As concerned citizens, it is crucial that we do not ignore these risks. We must unite to protect the safety, health, and quality of life of all Mahopac residents. This is why we urgently need a moratorium on the construction of industrial facilities like the proposed lithium battery plant. A moratorium would allow us time to conduct thorough environmental impact studies, assess potential health risks, and involve the community in decision-making processes. Please let us urge our leaders to enact in a moratorium and reconsider this proposal, prioritizing the well-being of our community above all else. Together, we can ensure that Mahopac remains a safe, healthy, and beautiful place for generations to come. Thank you for your attention to this urgent matter and for your commitment to safeguarding the future of Mahopac, a place
Thank
that
you.
me and my family love.
Lords?
Lourdes Valley?
Loris Valley?
Lourdes Valley?
Oh,
Did you
one
say
second.
Lourdes Valley?
Yeah, just 1 second.
Sure.
That was Veronica.
Could you give your name to her?
Oh, sure. Lourdes Valley, Mahopac.
Thanks.
Good evening. I echo all of the grievances presented thus far against the dangers involved with the proposed battery storage facility and support a 6-month moratorium, but urge you to consider an 18-month or longer due to the lack of data expertise from a technical, science, and safety standpoint. I'd like to point out some key data and gaps in data presented from the applicants to further emphasize the risks and dangers involved with this project. I'm happy to share all of the sources I have used. I have 25+ years experience developing consumer products that are battery powered. I know the risks. How we vet these type of projects is critical. It should be independent of any consultants being used by the applicants, as their advice to us poses a conflict of interest in what's best for their business plans versus the well-being of our community at large. 50% of fires at lithium-ion battery facilities occur within the first 2 years. East Point hired fire safety consultant Brian Fink to support their business case. While having served an impressive 38 years with the FDNY, he admitted he recently had retired and just started working in the battery safety space since retirement. You cannot become a battery safety expert within such a short time frame. Mr. Fink back in September referenced a lot of inexperience related to these systems, including New York State Governor Hochul's task force. To quote him, "I don't think they really know what they want to do. I think they are kind of lost and don't have a lot of expertise in this. It's a fairly new field. We can't afford to rely on advice from people making I think statements." He further stated there is off-gassing. Mr. Fink claimed they conducted their own safety testing based on one container. The sample size of this test was not compared to the total size of the proposed project. He's offered to make these test reports available, and we would like to see them. He stated there is off-gassing with these batteries, but all the test results he has seen roughly the same as a car fire. He further correlated to electric cars. He said it's probably similar. But these particular gases dissipate very quickly. The number one gas that comes out is hydrogen, which is lighter than air and dissipates quickly, he said. Carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide are the other ones. They will burn for 8 to 10 hours and gas off for about 36 hours. That is just for one car. For perspective, an electric car battery has up to 50 to 100 kilowatts. This facility, what is being proposed, that would equate to around 116,000 kilowatts, or 1,160 electric cars, right in our backyards. What Mr. Fink, the fire safety consultant, omitted is that while hydrogen, which is lighter than air and dissipates quickly, in terms of hazards to the well-being of those in the vicinity, such as an incident, one particular problematic component is hydrogen fluoride. Although hydrogen fluoride is lighter than air and would disperse when released, a cloud of vapor and aerosol that is heavier than air may be formed. On exposure to skin or by inhaling, it could result in skin burns and lung damage and could take time, hours to weeks, to develop following exposure. It will quickly be absorbed by the body. It is highly toxic. I'd like to humanize the danger and share images of what that exposure looks like. Where is the life test of a 160 megawatt facility? I'm very familiar with life testing. When the automotive industry life tests a car, it is a true 100% representation of the sample. A test report of a life test for a container small size would not be sufficient. Assumptions would need to be made based on a 116 megawatt facility. During one of these meetings, the senior project developer from East Point stated he was not an engineer. I'm surprised that they do not bring these technical experts with them to these very critical meetings, nor do they seem to be bringing their senior executives. Who is the face of this project? They're bringing junior people to explain highly technical projects and can't even answer questions that are being asked of them. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry experiencing and projected to continue to see double-digit growth. I've heard some comparisons made with 9/11. The difference here is that you have the power to say no and to be proactive about protecting our community. Connick also noted that the project will improve the town's bottom line, generating taxes on that property. The value of our lives is worth more than anyone's bottom line. Your entire community and bordering towns of Somers, as well as others, clearly oppose this project. We oppose this project as homeowners in the area for over 23 years. We look to you and your fiduciary obligation to help to serve and protect our community, and we will hold you accountable to it. So
Thank
I'd
you.
like to give you these images.
Yeah.
Alice, that's
No, I'm not gonna my name.
That would be great. Thank you.
About Danette. Banger? Danette Banger?
Danette Granger, Mexico Lane, Mahopac. I had to send home hungry, tired, grumpy children, a sentiment that we all are relating to at this point. These children are taking their Jenga blocks, matchbox fire trucks, red tissue paper, and batteries that they take out of their other toys and play out the scenarios that have occurred and will occur with these facilities. They read in the paper about fire trucks, going to the garbage trucks, from lithium e-bikes that are on fire in the garbage trucks. These children won't be affected if this is built. These children are affected by this proposal right now. A layperson reading of this project is evidence of its insanity. Insight, a local engineering company, prepared a proposal that had unimaginable descriptions in quantity and size of containers. A first look at that proposal should have caught the attention of the town board immediately. The planning board, the ECB, all of these boards should have read the common sense to halt this insane proposal. In addition, the proposal was not forthright with its risks. The representatives from East Point and Insight did not bring honesty or integrity into this community. It brought disruption and hours of strife, and it continues. We find ourselves fighting now upstream. We are not just needing a moratorium. We need to have strong town leadership to call this out as a project that deserves the label of insanity. It needs a trash can. Our children are in this now. They are enduring stress and trauma along with all of us adults before this is even built. Protect our children now and protect our community now. Stop now and any further progress on this proposal and others that present the same risks. Thank you.
Dana Hubbard?
Can you hear me?
No.
Just move the microphone a little bit.
Okay. My name is Dania Huppert. I live in Society Hill in Mahopac, and I'm really concerned. Is that better? Okay.
Thank you, Emil.
I'm concerned about this storage facility. Our complex only has one road in and out. We have elderly people, we have young people, we have the senior center right next door. It's too risky. It's not worth the risk. Like they've said, the health ramifications are too dangerous to even put our fire department at risk when you know it's a risk. When you go into a fire, I can understand this is what they signed up for, but this is a known safety risk. It's not worth it, and I'm against it. And you need to put in for a moratorium for at least 12 months to figure it out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that it?
That's everyone that signed up. Is there anyone else that wants to speak about the moratorium on the BESS? If there are no other comments, can we get a motion to
Close.
get a motion to keep the hearing open for written comments only until June 30th?
So moved.
Second.
I actually wanted to close it tonight. And I'm just saying because over the last 3 months, we've been hearing a lot of the comments. A lot of people have been emailing and all. Are we allowed, can we close it tonight and then they can, if somebody writes in, they use that as an addendum to the public hearing?
You can close oral comment tonight and leave it open for written comment for a period of time.
But can we vote for this on this and then get written comments after, or once you vote on it?
No, once you
No.
close, it's
You don't
closed.
want to
No.
rush it. You
Okay.
want
So
to
just
let written comments come in.
I think we're all in favor of closing it, but I think the attorney from, I forgot from where he was, who represents 50 residents, he actually wanted, he wanted from 30 days.
Right,
The
and
one who
the
was saying-
lawyer here was
so-
going to speak to him about something.
Yeah,
He
so
was
that's,
not
so that's
correct
why
on
I thought
something.
it was fair that we just leave it for written comment only until June 30th.
Well, yeah.
There's not going to be oral, we're not going to have another public hearing. If anybody wants to submit letters, emails, whatever, so I don't think that's.
Okay, so
we-
then, so if we do that, our next meeting, though, isn't until like July 10th, I believe.
Right.
So
Our next meeting isn't until July 10th, yes.
then it can't be voted on until July 10th.
Correct.
Right.
Because we got to wait for all the written submissions.
Yeah, I mean,
No, please, no.
well, so, I mean, I know Mr. Campion, and I can certainly reach out to him and see if, he can get his comments in earlier, which I suspect he'll be able to do.
So
So the attorney who was there, actually, he had asked for 30 days to submit, but our attorney's going to speak to him and tell him that he's got to be done by June 30th.
I believe she asked as well. This lady in the front asked as well, right?
No.
No,
this-
she.
No, she submitted,
Yeah.
she emailed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept written comments up until June 30th. Yes. So I would do a vote.
Wait, well, June 3rd.
June 30th.
30th, okay.
June 30th.
Can you vote on it? I'm just curious. Can you not vote on? So are we closing?
No, we're leaving it open for written comments only.
You can't do both.
Can't do both.
Can you have a special meeting just for this?
Sure, we could have a special meeting, but
This is the special meeting. I
nothing's
think.
going to happen until July 10th. It's okay. So, do we do a roll call or do we just vote?
On that motion? Yes.
Keep it open to do written comments, accept it up until debate.
Correct.
I don't know, do we need a roll call or no?
Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please.
Yes.
Councilwoman McDonough?
Yes.
Councilman
Since
Lombardi?
the
Yes.
attorney needs to get
Supervisor
in.
Cazzari?
Yes. Okay.
When comments are sent, how is it public record? How will we know who sent comments, or like if you're keeping it open, like how will that? Because like here we know what's being said. How does that just only go to you and then nobody else knows? Like, can you explain the process? Because a lot of us don't understand.
You want to explain the process? The attorney can explain it.
I mean, you can put in a request to see copies of, statements that are put in through the normal FOIL channels, but the documents are publicly available, so they can be provided.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Actually, you can
5 days, right? It's 5.
It depends. It depends. If it's a simple request, it shouldn't take that long.
Part of the minutes, once the minutes are
Okay, so our second, so that's passed.
right.
Yep.
So what we did was we voted to hold the written comment portion of the public hearing open until June 30th, and then it'll be it'll close automatically at the end of June 30th, and then we will vote on it at our vote on the moratorium on our next meeting based upon all the comments. Our next meeting is July 10th because it would be 4th of July. Yeah.
Could you just clarify, could you just clarify what the second hearing is for? Because I think some of us missed it.
We're going to do it right now.
Yeah. So,
No, I know, there's a sign-up sheet, we're trying to figure out what that.
Right.
Thank you.
That's what they're going to say now. I think there
Yeah,
was
so-
over there, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this says number 2. This is
So our second public hearing is for a proposed local law establishing a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review and approval of applications and permits for solar energy systems in the town of Carmel. So again,
we need a motion to close.
wasn't that just, did we
first-
just close?
No, you did
we
the
made a
motion,
motion
you did the
for a
motion
vote.
to keep it for written
So
comments. Are we
closing-
going to close the
closing-
public hearing? Or no?
No, we're not.
Well, the
closing
public hearing remains open.
It's oral comment is closed. It remains open for
So
written
do they need to
submissions.
close the public hearing?
Yes.
Oh, we need to close the
Yes.
oral,
Yes.
oh. So a motion, thank you, Alice. A motion to close the public comments.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. So the second public hearing yet is about solar panels, large solar systems.
No,
One
she's
second.
got to read the notice.
We'll get there. There isn't one up, but this is, so no one puts,
Being proactive.
being proactive.
Being proactive.
To prevent, yeah.
So, Alice, Alice Daly Town, could you read just the notice?
Okay. Notice of public hearing. Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of Carmel will conduct a public hearing at Town Hall, 60 McAlpin Avenue, Mahopac, New York, 10541, on Wednesday, June 19, 2024, at 7 p.m. or soon thereafter that evening as possible, on a proposed local law establishing a 6-month moratorium prohibiting the review, approval of applications and permits for solar energy systems in the Town of Carmel. Want me to keep it? Okay.
Yeah, so, I make a motion to waive the reading of the law.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Make it open.
Yeah, so, can I get a motion to open the public hearings?
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
So,
Hey, we're all here now, right? Kevin O'Keefe, Somers resident. I oppose a solar energy system. I am in support of a moratorium on solar energy systems for a period of 6 months. Obviously, I'm not prepared with as much information as best facility as most of you aren't. Town Supervisor, I'm questioning, am I able to make a motion on the floor by opposition, by recognition on a yay or nay from the floor to kind of get it over with?
No, sir, it's just
Okay.
comments, Mr. O'Keefe.
Okay.
We welcome
so
your
I
comments.
I support a moratorium for
Thank
solar panels.
And thank you for your service in the Marines, sir. And did we have a sign up?
Yeah, we did, but no one signed up. I don't think.
Oh.
Nobody signed up.
Does anyone want to comment on? Oh, Roland?
Thank you.
Just
I've got to echo a lot of what
Tell her your name, please.
Roland Cedar 9 Lounsbury Drive, Baldwin Place, New York, 10505.
Thank you.
I will echo what Kevin just said. You should not put any solar farms of that magnitude anywhere in this town. Take a look at what they did over there in Jefferson Valley. They destroyed a farm, took down all the trees. Now, we're talking about green people now. These people, 20 years ago, were hugging trees, and they were worried about caterpillars. Now we can cut all the trees down in the world to put a solar panel in. And on top of that, the solar panel, it does not go out. So if you got a fire, you got firefighters got to go up there and fight this fire. They're fighting on live panels as long as the sun is shining. So I will reiterate what he said. Say no to massive solar panels. If somebody wants to put them on their roofs, that's their business, but nothing on a municipal level. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. So I have a question.
Ma'am, you state your name.
Huh?
Your name.
Say your name again for the
record.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, it's Carrie.
No, you got to give it the last
Reardon. So I have a question. The temporary moratorium prohibiting large-scale solar installations, large-scale battery energy storage systems installations, large-scale wind energy conservations, and would this all be encompassed? Because there's multiple layers. If you look at the moratorium that I provided from Putnam Valley, it actually covers all of these.
This is for solar.
Right.
Ours
So
is for solar.
right. So what I'm trying to explain is I've done the research, I've provided it, I've handed it. So they have covered all of these additional things, because what happens is when one is covered and the next one pops up. That's why I gave you all the moratorium, and I emailed it just because I want to make sure that it's covering every, for example, the wind energy conservation, the solar, the energy storage, and all of those that encompass it. And additionally, so did Yorktown and Newcastle. So there is language and verbiage. It's not just one. It comes in different components. When one pops up, there's another. So the goal would be to get them all together and put them in one moratorium so that they can't, we don't have to do this over and over and over. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So you'll look into that and read the moratoriums that were already provided?
We already cover large towers in our code.
So anything
this is
else
covering it now.
thereafter, that's gonna, you'll just add the wording to it to cover it in its entirety?
It's already covered under the
Okay,
large
I just wanna
towers, like
make
the
sure-
cell tower.
I
It's
just wanna
good.
make sure.
I appreciate your due diligence. Yes,
Thank
we
you.
did that.
Hi, Frank DeRico.
Hey.
How are you guys? I'm against the moratorium. I'm in favor of the moratorium on the battery farm and in favor on the solar farm. They don't belong any place, anywhere, in my opinion, not just Mahopac, on New York, United States, anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you. D'Amico, Frank D'Amico. D'Amico.
D'Amico.
Yeah. D'Amico, yes.
Is that good?
She has to
Very
write
good.
that down.
All right.
I told her, it's good. We're good. So, if there, yes. So, consider a motion to close the public comment, but keep open for written comments until June 30th.
So moved.
Second.
And then all in favor?
Aye.
All right. The motion to close the town board meeting?
Well, we got to close the public hearing.
Oh, public hearing, yes.
Second. Oh, I make a motion to
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Great,
Aye.
thank you.
Right. And motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming out.